you are bringing the suit to them, which means you have to be proactive in going after them. And there's only so many resources you have, and it's not nearly as much as they have.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because in the States, it's you have the burden of proof if you're the accusatory party.
Yes, which is a good thing.
However, in Britain, it's the opposite. The defense has the burden of proof. They have to prove that they weren't guilty of the crime.
Yeah, but even still, I would much rather, even as bad as shit.
Oh no, I'm saying I think that the way the Americans do is probably the.
Just because it's like, if you're starting with the assumption that they're guilty, holy fucking shit, you have so many problems just from there. But yeah.
But
I mean, if you're living in America, you're already guilty, right? So.
Your mom was already guilty. Listen.
Well, I mean, let's be real. You guys caused the war in Ukraine.
You're just saying that because we blame you.
You guys shouldn't have been so mean to Russia. You guys shouldn't have been so mean to Russia.
I'm white. I'm male. I at least somewhat
you're already
follow
evil
Christianity.
By default,
It's already my fault for every single sin and bad thing in the world is already my fault there.
Well,
okay, so I thought you were gonna say you're straight, and I was gonna say I don't know. That's pretty questionable. But...
No, if he's white, straight, and male, then he is just evil by default. He has no say in anything. We should just ignore him.
Oh, exactly. It's my fault for every single bad thing in the world, bar none. Also, no one else has agency other than the white straight man, the white straight Christian man. No one else has agency in the world.
Well, I think you're misunderstanding, Cam. All those things are true. Everything is your fault. All the problems, but it's not because you're white. It's because you're Cam.
Ooh woo.
Also, you're just because every time we blame Canada, you somehow know. Like you can just be like out, with your dog or something.
See, this is just me.
Say, we'll blame Canada, and you'll just your spidey sense going off like someone's blaming Canada.
This is just me, getting back at Cam for all those times he blamed me because I'm Canadian.
Look, we all know Canada is the reason why Russia and Russia and Ukraine are fighting, not the Ukraine.
Yeah.
You mean Ukraine? Like my crane?
No, Ukraine.
I didn't actually realize that there were genuinely people who were saying stuff like that. Hey,
what was it?
I said I didn't actually believe I believed it because people are fucking stupid. But when I heard that people were saying, "Oh, it's the United States' fault that Russia's invading Ukraine because they've been so hostile and combative towards Russia," that's so mean to them. I was like, "Wait, there's no way you actually believe."
Bear in mind,
there's legitimately no way.
Bear in mind, this is likely being pushed largely by China, and these are the same guys who wanted to claim in multiple ways that the coronavirus that has ravaged the world, either through the virus itself or the political actions of our leaders in response to it for the last couple of years here, all evidence points to it originating in China. And China has made multiple laughable claims that, it's the United States. Their soldiers came in with it and infected people. Yeah, that's it.
So here's the thing.
Claim in seriousness.
I don't genuinely think that. I don't think China created the virus or anything. I think it's just they're so ultra nationalist that they refuse to have anything to do with anything that looks
China
slightly bad. It cannot be China. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I believe you with that. It's like anything that could potentially paint China in a bad light. Nope.
That's what they've been doing for the last essentially forever, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
You look at it everywhere, whether it's through politics, geopolitical theater, or actual theater and arts and movies and stuff. It's always hell. Even if it's someone who said it's the director of X movie said something against China, they're not going to play that movie in China.
Yep.
It's that type of and obviously if there's that's the reason why we never had Iron Man versus the Mandarin. The films is because Mandarin's a Chinese villain. American
Can't
hero
have
versus
that.
a Chinese villain? That wouldn't fly.
What I love too is that, at least from a point of view of equals, if you're saying, oh well, you can't have X person or X type of person who has certain traits, they can't be a villain. It's like you're literally saying,
Why the fuck
so
not?
the characterization of this character is so weak that if they were to be painted in any kind of a bad light, nope, can't happen. The whole thing would fall down. It's like you're literally saying by that nature that this person is not an equal to everyone else.
So by that
I would
standard,
be
Coolios can kill both of us, right? 'Cause
Maybe.
he's Canadian.
Yeah. You know, and I'd be willing to say, like, maybe if you went back, 40, 50 years ago, that there was like that kind of bias in media where it's like, okay, the white hero or whatever, the male hero.
Oh,
right?
no, absolutely.
Now
Absolutely.
we're living in an age where, dude, almost
At
every
least
single
purportedly, we're all
villain
equal.
almost every single villain is a capitalist white male, where they're
white male.
portrayed as a greedy person with just purely no more. I mean, I don't care. I mean,
At
I'm
this point,
not white.
and what's worse is that they're all like copy
But-
paste, like literally cookie cutter villains. Like they all look the same
Yeah.
too. And I don't mean that like all white.
Yeah, they're
people
all
look the
bald.
same.
Yeah, like they're all bald. Like
They're
Okay,
either all
okay,
bald or they're
I'll
all
say this then.
gray long hair and goatee.
One male bald white villain who absolutely took it away. Back from, I want to say this originally came in the 90s. Kane from Command and Conquer. Tell me you guys have played Command and Conquer.
I've never played Command and Conquer now.
You
played it once.
fucking suck. Let
Well,
me
Kev,
see
come
if
on.
I
Your
can
catchphrase.
find a video
You're
clip.
missing your catchphrase. Blame Canada. Canada's fault. He's right here. You don't have to tell him behind his back now.
No, I've never. I feel like, wait, that's that game.
It's a real time strategy game.
That's that game I always see ads for.
I mean, I see ads for a bunch of games.
I think is it that game? Oh, okay, no, it's not that game.
Well, anyway, on the topic of games, I think we should get on with it. I'm just imagining the Monty Python scene in the back of my head. Get on with it. So, which should we do? Star Citizen, Nintendo, or Steam first? Although, if we do Steam, we have to do Steam first before.
Yeah, the Steam Deck.
The Steam Deck, and it plays in Nintendo plays into it. So, but Star Citizen first. Star Citizen. There's news. That's it. No. We have. Let's see. This week in Star
Something
Citizen.
happened.
No, it's been a really quiet month so far for Star Citizen.
Yeah, no.
Lies.
Like, I mean, there's been some drama here and there, like community stuff. Obviously, I'd say the really poor communication with devs, but I mean, between us and the devs. But I mean,
Yeah,
aside
but I
from
mean,
that,
name one game community. There's not like
right,
consistent
like every
drama
game, there's always
going
hiccups
on.
and
Yeah,
stuff. It's never going to be perfect. Like, Star Citizen still has it better than any other game, I think. This week we got obviously lore on Tuesday, the Squadron 42 monthly report, which already came out if you're subscribed to the newsletter on the website, but it'll be available on the website for viewing this Wednesday. And that's really it. Just regular weeks inside Star Citizen Live.
So I guess I didn't get to really play. How was the free fly event and everything?
It was okay.
Bit ago.
Yeah, it was okay.
Nothing really eventful
Yeah?
in my
Gotcha.
pleasure. I don't think I really met any new players.
Huh.
In the game, at least.
I seen there was a couple people saying they're gonna try the game, but
We did get the Xenothreat debrief, so like all the stats.
Okay.
Total crates delivered. Almost 1 million.
Jeez.
Remember, everyone kept delivering crates for that payout, even though the javelin wasn't there and you already had the amount of crates needed. So that probably helped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got 882,595, of which the timed crates, right? The time specific crates was
how many were ran out?
Zeta
Did they give stats on like how many ran out of time, how many blew up from contact and stuff like
how
that?
many were of each types were delivered.
Oh, okay.
382,243, which is 43% of the total. Of the Zeta Prolnide, the Krilliplex, the explosive one, that was 22% of the total, which is 195,145, and 35% of the total was the Lucermax, the one where you can't quantum travel with it. That was 305,000. Total engine.
That doesn't surprise me that the explosive one was the lowest.
Yeah, it's just because there's the least amount of them on it. Idrises destroyed, total Idrises destroyed, 18,136. That's a lot. I mean, the event ran for what, a week? Every day?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
like
that's
multiple
a lot.
times a day, right? Like there's like a 30-minute recharge between events. Total missions undertaken was 834,575. PvE deaths almost 5 million, so 4.8, almost 4.9 million. PvP deaths only 60,000, and I know that some of our guys were involved in the PvP deaths because we encountered some guy was trying to steal our crates, and he was being a jackass. So I just had one of my guys shoot him down. Deadliest player ships. Number 1 was the Constellation Andromeda with 375,328 AI kills, 3,862 player kills. Number 2 is the Aegis Redeemer with 360,000 player kills, roughly, and 3,713. AI kills with 360,000. Player kills with 3,715. Then it was the Aegis Vanguard Sentinel, then the Hurricane, then the Drake Cutlass Black, and then the Gladius. After that, we had most destroyed player ship. Number 1 was the Avenger Titan. Number 2 was the Cutlass Black. Number 3 was the Andromeda. Number 4 was the Arrow, and then the Gladius of most destroyed player ship. Most used weapons, pretty much it's all the laser repeaters, and then the size. What size is the M7A autocannon? That's size 6 or 5? What is that?
Not sure.
I don't remember what size it is. I feel like an idiot, but I don't use them at all. So, but yeah, the autocannons were 4 and 5. The rest were just laser repeaters.
Like they'd said that, oh hey, we've zeroed out all the components. We've gone and done all this preliminary stuff for the weapon rebalance, and we're going to further adjusting as we go. And that's been how many months?
Yeah.
And
well,
yeah,
the studio reports for both Squadron and Star Citizen this month, I've only glanced over them. Unfortunately, haven't had the time to read them in full, but they really do keep hammering down the point that they're just putting more and more and more into Squadron, and understandably so, and rightfully so, I think. But it obviously does come at the expense of Star Citizen, right? You know, they want to get Squadron out, but it does mean that less effort and time is going to be in Star Citizen. Because obviously, yes, they have teams for both games, but there's a lot of cross devs, right? Like devs that go into both, especially when they're making gameplays elements for and mechanics for Squadron than the PU.
Well, yeah, because ultimately it's going to run on the same engine or close to the same engine, right?
Yeah. Also, they even showed off top orgs contributors. So obviously, number 1 was Test Squadron. 2 was Evil Organized, Nova Intergalactic, then Durflinger, the Corporation, Obro Force, Skunk Works, Explorer, Operation Pitchfork, and United Earth Marine Corps. It's kind of neat. I like seeing these kind of stats because it shows that they're actually essentially watching, right? Like they're collecting the numbers and the data from each of these events, and we get to see that data in a easily visible form. Here's the monthly studio report for the PU.
But it'd be nice if, and it's like, especially as we're getting closer to a presumed Squadron 42 release date, I can absolutely understand getting more hands on board to go and get everything done, polish it up, make sure it doesn't become the next Cyberpunk, because especially too, this would be the first actual release of Star Citizen, and for years, its detractors and the media, especially powered by the AAA gaming companies, who are like, hey, well, wait, you got this long-term project. If people start wanting stuff like that, that means less immediate money for us. If we're either competing against that or trying to do our own shit and make a quick buck with it. Either way, it spells out bad stuff for the AAAs, and so they threw the gaming media companies to track Star Citizen left, right, and center. If Squadron 42 flops at all, that's going to be a huge nail in the fucking coffin right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the initial release is going to be very, very substantial to success.
But
it's also
that being said, so I understand them putting more resources on that and not on the PU as that's getting closer to a release. It'd just be nice to be able to see something, anything of what's going on. Like we used to be getting 4 or 5 videos a week, and we're getting like 2 now, and it's like, I understand, so some things are gonna be kept under wraps. That's perfectly fine. I understand that, but give us something. So hey, here's a random snippet from a random mission of something you might encounter.
It doesn't have to be dressed up to look like a good marketing trailer.
Yeah,
like just show us like some raw test
something.
Footage.
Yeah. Here's a place where this NPC fucked up majorly. Here's how we fix, like literally just like bug fixtures.
Yeah, remember
here's an interest spawned and it spawned inside out. Sure, but give us something, some content.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get something soon. I know a lot of people are theorizing now that this year CitizenCon is going to show some Squadron stuff. We have Tillum29 and Captain Trek in the chat. So, hey guys.
Whoa, that's double our usual viewers.
Yep. Oh wait, what isn't 2 times 0 still 0?
We have an average of
0.
About 0.5, so.
But yeah, they do need to get like, as much as we complain, they do need to get Squadron out, and it does need to be good. It needs to be in a complete state, needs to be in a functioning state. So
yeah, I can't, if it releases and then they do the typical AAA, well, I guess not typical for game developers now, but like, oh, we're going to release an update 2 months and then it'll actually fix everything that should have been on release. Like, I understand there's going to be certain things, but yeah, if they don't release it in like a completed state, then it's going to be I think it'll be very bad.
Complete and functional state.
And it, like you were saying, it will impact Star Citizen as well as a result.
Because it's going to be a huge reputation thing, right? Like, it's going to impact how people see Star Citizen, because it's going to impact how people see those devs, how people see CIG.
And especially because like the people who are already like detractors of Star Citizen are looking for something that they're going to fail at, right?
I mean, they don't.
So it's not like they're scared of, like, so Cyberpunk, for example, at least had the benefit of the hype, or like, it's going to be a good game. Whereas I think Star Citizen, at least, there's a portion of people who obviously think that it's whatever, like it's gonna fail and whatnot. Yeah, exactly, right. So I think it's so much more important for them to release a complete game than even like say Cyberpunk.
Yeah, there's more riding on it. And I know Cyberpunk is the most recent example. I mean, Cyberpunk Anthem, literally any game from the last 5, 10, well, not 10, but like the last 5, 7 years.
The last 5 years especially. Every single game it releases, it's a buggy fucking mess. Maybe honestly, it gets patched up, and it's like I can understand, a few bugs here and there. I mean, sure, you're hitting a whole lot more systems, a whole lot different configurations than your testing group might have had. Completely understandable that some things just aren't going to work well until you go and you're like, this is great for our standard rig, and then someone comes along with like a fucking i3 with fucking 64 gigs of video memory and having 8 gig of RAM, and was like, here, let's fuck this shit up. And you're like, why would someone even do this? But they're bitching at it. We got to fix it. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's also,
but
there's definitely more.
Yeah, I understand
more riding on it. People are definitely going to compare it to No Man's Sky if it kind of snowballs into a fiasco. Because No Man's Sky, I see people compare Star Citizen and No Man's Sky all the time already.
Well,
and so like it's just like, if Squadron 42 releases and it's in such a really pathetic state, people.
I don't think that, especially with Chris at the helm here, I don't think he alone, let alone all of the other developers and content creators for it, all of the management, because it's like everyone who's been brought into this company is a gamer. Like it's not just someone by and large who's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a job. We're working on Star Citizen is a job. People are doing this for a paycheck, but at the same time, many, if not most, if not all, asterisk, people working on this are gamers, are people who believe in this product, in this project, and want to see it come to success, versus your average, even the average devs at the AAA gaming companies are more in it for putting in their 9 to 5 and going home. Let alone your middle and upper management who couldn't give a fucking care less about the product. They're just in it for the paycheck, like EA, and they don't give a shit.
You look at game companies, I was supposed to say EA, but like Ubisoft, right? Where, what was it, 2 weeks ago we were talking about the whole, or whatever it was, NFT thing, where the internal memo, like everyone's like, are we competing with EA for worst company? Like that's literally an employee at Ubisoft saying this to Ubisoft, up to their managers. To their upper managers.
Well, I don't know if it wasn't necessarily to their other managers, but to other employees. It was an internal chat, but we don't know who it was to. Whether it was to their boss or whether it was to like other employees. Like they're just like, dude, what the fuck?
Regardless, either way,
like, I know,
everyone sees it now. I mean, we read it, so. And that's the thing. It's like, these people are clear. Like, I'm sure there are games that they're passionate about, but at the same time, like, you look at those games, right? You look at the quality of those games and how they come out. Compare it to, like, say, an Assassin's Creed, like the latest Assassin's Creed game. Compare that to any of the Ezio trilogy.
Well,
there is definitely something. And I mean, missing.
I would argue it's a result of the industry too. Because it's so much, even for like, so assuming I'm a game developer and I really like this game and I'm really passionate about the project, I think it's so easy for like developers to lose that passion, because when you're talking about a game that's developed over 2 years, but they're constantly asking you to be on crunch time and you're at work constantly and it's just stressful, and then all of a sudden you have somebody who just lost all passion, they don't even care, right? Like,
yup. Well, and also too, you have, let's say I'm a game dev. I'm passionate about the game. I love what we're doing here. I want to go and flesh out these systems and make something the players are really going to enjoy. No. Hey, no, you're not working on that part anymore. Just polish up what you got. Tomorrow we're going to have you working on this completely other thing here, on the loot box system here. Got to get that. Fill that up. The content you're working on, just you got the rest of today to finish that up here. And you're like, what the fuck? Like the system I made is halfway done. Like, nope, don't care. I blame Canada.
Well, back to Star Citizen and hopefully some good news. You guys saw the Inside Star Citizen this week or last week?
I did not.
The rivers.
Yes, rivers. So we're gonna get rivers in 317.
We're going to get a river.
Right. Well, I mean,
in 317.
I'm sure there's going to be multiple rivers, but it's all on one location. It's all on like.
Well, as far as
we're getting river tech introduced into Star Citizen.
Yes, we're getting river tech, but as far as I'm aware, we are getting a singular river on Microtech, and that's it for now. One river with a start and an end point. That's it. The tech is going to be there, and they're going to work on it for like Planet Tech version, whatever the heck. You know, and eventually it'll be like an automatic thing baked in there, that kind of stuff. But
so it's like actual like flowing water physics and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll be able to walk if you're wearing a helmet. You'll be able to walk into the water and not die.
Yeah. So we don't swim yet. We walk in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can drown in it. I think they had said that initially there are not flow physics on there, meaning like if you were to go and drop something that floats, I think initially it's just going to go and sit there, but they are working on actually making it so if I chuck something in a river and it's buoyant, it'll go all the way down to whatever basin it falls to, or it'll get stuck at a
also,
at a curve
you'll
of
be
the
able
river
to drive your bike.
So you're saying I can't knock somebody out while they're standing by a river, then watch them float away?
Not yet.
Theoretically. Of course, now also too with drowning being a thing, you're also going to have people who would go and like knock someone, get someone so they're in an incapacitated state, drag them to a river, pull off their helmet, and then throw them in the river and be like, "Well, I didn't kill them."
Yeah, you just knock them out, take their helmet, throw them into the river, and then let them drown.
Yeah,
I only committed assault, not murder.
Also, you'll be able. The physics that they're employing here, where you're able to walk underwater and not be affected and not die instantly.
I think you mean rather removing the instant kill box that was put
they're going to be employing
this
also over the oceans. So this way you'll be able to drive over the oceans. Not again, you can drive your bikes, but and have to blow up.
But I should note, like, is it great that Planet Tech is evolving? Absolutely. However, like we're at tier 0 for this shit. What we want is like tier 5, to where planets have rivers automatically generated. You can actually swim. You can take some vehicles underwater. That kind of shit. We ain't got none of it yet.
Underwater gameplay.
Like not yet. Not anywhere near
I'm saying
yet.
Like that just adding to your list there.
Yeah, I would love to see something along the lines of like a Subnautica-esque, and obviously there's going to be a fucking limit on what they can do, especially on any one planet, but it'd be cool to see, for example, if there was a world that had an underwater city.
Like, so you mean like, yeah.
Atlantis?
Like Naboo.
Yeah. Exactly, the Gungan City kind of thing.
Yeah, the Gungan.
Like I want to go and see, and they've talked before on theory crafting and plotting out underwater vehicles and submarines and that kind of shit. So I'm planning that we're going to have something like that. We'll probably have something that will have like wheels, like it'll be like a rover,
like a multi-terrain vehicle
into submersible, some shit like that.
You know, like James Bond's
Yeah.
Lotus from
Just because
Flight of
also
Lost
too,
Meat.
we don't have too many vehicles at this point that would be able to go and drop something directly into water and pull something directly out of water. So you'd have to have some mechanism for that. So easiest way, at least with the current tech we have, wheels, because that'll get you, you know, your fin drives, whatever the fuck you got, get you to the edge. Your wheels get you out and onto your ship, and off you go. Because otherwise, you're relying on either hover tech, which that's another one you could do, or some kind of a tractor beam trailer or something.
Or
I know
like a
they said
collar,
that
like a
some
docking collar
way-
system somehow.
Way back when, they said that some of the ships would be submersible and others would actually have buoyancy.
Yeah,
Okay.
who knows?
But
Who
they
knows?
never
really
That was a while
specified
back, too.
which.
That was probably like how long ago, right?
Oh, this was back in like, I want to say 50 latest.
Yeah.
I remember at the same time they were talking about what Cam was mentioning with the boats and submersibles. You were able to rent boats, or they were talking about you'd be able to rent boats at areas and rent vehicles. Obviously, this is way before I think the 2.0 builds came out.
Yeah, so
Back when
obviously a
Death of a
lot's probably
Spaceman was
changed.
a new topic.
But so
I'm excited to see
it's
them.
great that the tech's evolving, but we're so much shit. We're still at early days, and it
Yeah.
rankles me that I mean, I want to start seeing more, like especially as we're getting the like this as the studios are growing. I would love to see, like, okay, we've got a development team, but we also should have just like a team, just start her off small and build it up as you go, just dedicated to additional content, more mission, like PU content, more missions, more locations, more scenarios, like just that have this one or two people to start with, grow it as you go, but they're just working on new mission types, new new ways of changing up the current gameplay, that kind of stuff. Like we've got a hijack 890 mission. What about taking like the mission where you for the criminal side, where you go and pull a prisoner off of a caterpillar that's apparently been converted into a prisoner transport? What about one where you have a slavery caterpillar and you're rescuing, like you've been hired
A
by
legal version of that mission.
Crusader
essentially,
Security
yeah.
to rescue a prisoner? So essentially, just same mission,
But for the
sides are
legal side.
flipped. Yeah, stuff like that. Like I would imagine doing something like that would be a lot easier to do than making something fully from scratch. Working on stuff like that, just have one or two people just doing that kind of stuff, just to go and start fleshing things out here.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
just
but-
seeing any amount of resources allocated to it.
It would be nice.
It seems like we're continually getting less and less and less in the PU.
This year has already been
yes,
pretty
we've
dry.
come a decent distance, but
Yeah, I mean, I think again the problem lies on a lot of those missions, at least so they claim, is based on back-end tech that doesn't exist yet, like the quanta simulation stuff and server meshing and this and that. And understandably, they'd want to get that in before they do missions, otherwise they have to redo all the missions work. But at the same time, it does mean it does mean there's a long wait. And as you said, like, yeah, it's great that they're getting all this tech out, but they're still at tier 0 or tier 1. Like, it's pretty slow.
so much. And
And there's still so much to do.
Oh, and it always seems like there's always yet another tech and yet another tech and yet another tech and yet another tech before we can get to the content, and it's like, guys, come on. Okay,
I think another thing though is, well, and it's like also struggling with like what the rest of the community wants, right? Because I know there's a lot of people who like sit and complain, say like, oh, I don't want to see any like story or anything put in it, or like missions. Work on all the back end text so then we can get that sooner, right? Like I guess as a developer, it's probably hard to manage like
Oh, absolutely.
what to
And it's like,
do.
and
But
no
like you
matter
said though,
what you do,
like you
people are
said
gonna
though,
bitch.
any amount of resources, like a slight amount, just to start.
Yeah, just dedicate
See where
to
it takes you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you know, even like they're not working on new tech necessarily for it. So they aren't working on like, oh, we're going to go and add a new faction. Nope. Okay, you know, other content teams might be going and working on other factions. They've already got stuff in mind. You don't want to ruin that. But just like variations of current missions, changing things up a bit so that way like the gameplay isn't just the same shit over and over and over again here. Because like for me, so many times when I go and play, I usually play when a new patch comes out, and then you know maybe sometimes when there's free flies out or an event. But it's like you go and you play a bit, and you're like, okay, I'm playing a bit. Okay, yeah, the last like 20 minutes was fun, and then I'm bored again because I'm doing the
Yeah,
same
you go
shit
check
as
out the
before.
new stuff. Then you kind of go, how's the 890 jump mission for combat? Like check out how combat
Yeah.
is, and it's kind of
Even
like,
like
what
because
do I
like
do?
even when
Like carry
even when the new inventory system and the medical system came out, which was arguably one of the largest updates we've had tech-wise since like 3.0. So we had inventory, we had medical, and we had Death of a Spaceman all coming online on the same patch. I played it, and honestly, it made me just stop playing for a good month or two, just
It's
because
way too
one
punishing.
how harsh it is, and the fact that we that was what 315, right? 14? No,
Yeah,
314.
yeah, 315. 315.
315? Okay. So that was over 6 months ago, right? It was mid last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, like you
Um,
said, there just needs to be
approximately
a
six
better
months ago.
balance.
And we still have yet to have any kind of a way in game, other than doing a character reset, to reclaim your purchased on the store items, armors, etc., um, or stuff that was attributed based on things like, hey, I did the Xeno threat mission, I got the civilian defense force armor. Cool. Well, as soon as you pull it out, you fucking die, and there's still glitches all over the goddamn place that'll kill you instantly just for walking around. You lose your shit. And more often than not, your body doesn't even go and stay there with your gear on there, which means you lost your shit and you aren't getting it back until you do a character reset, which is going to reset all of your reputation kind of shit, your progress on missions. It's a fucking
And all of your
pain
gear
in the
goes
butt.
back to your home base.
Yeah,
I know,
it's like,
like,
come on.
I like to have
You couldn't have
gear spread out. So,
one person work for a week to put something in. Come on, guys.
there's a lot of lacking of quality of life improvements. A lot of stuff missing, like, for instance, just the Death of a Spaceman gameplay. Like, it needs to be balanced.
Oh yeah, that's not.
And
One
it's really punishing right now.
and one issue I have with it, and I don't see many ways, at least right now, like down the line, once you have a much more in-depth reputation system and long-term reputation persistence, there's going to be more options. But as it is right now, like, hey, I'm going to go and saddle up for a Xeno threat. Well, let me go and get, okay, I've got my multi-tool. I got a spare multi-tool for if I encounter someone who didn't bring theirs. I got a medical gun. I got my FPS weapons, so I can go in and fucking clear out wrecks. All right, I'm ready to go. Okay, now I'm waiting for my buddy. Okay, he's ready to go. We're half an hour in now, just preparing for this stuff. We fly out, and some asshole just fucking ran my ship, killed us both. Now I have to wait for my ship to respawn, and I gotta go and pull, assuming I bought spares in my gear, I gotta go and pull that in. As it is right now, in terms of at least effort and intent, it is far easier to go and fuck someone's gameplay up and gank someone then it's just play the game. And until there is some kind of balance in that, it's like, you know, as it is, if someone just decides to go and as soon as you're taking off, I just ram a caterpillar into your ship, whatever it might be, and take you out, hey, that 6 hours you were spending gearing up for whatever, oh, hey, all that mining you did the other day for hours to get all that quantanium ore and you just put it on your cargo ship, guess what? I just fucked it up in 20 minutes. And, oh, I went to jail? Well, I don't care. I already got my dopamine reward by fucking your day up. I'm sitting there giggling to myself, and then I log out and wait for the timer to go and run out there, and then I do it again the next day. I don't give a fuck. Now, that being said, one thing I did hear them saying, and I did like what I was hearing with it. You know, there's still more that needs to be done, but one thing, and I think it's coming with 317, was that you are going to have now reputation with essentially just the general law and Ninetales and other criminal gangs now directly. And so if you were to go and do enough things that get you on the wrong side of the law, even if you do not currently have a crime stat, you're going to be fired on by station security, by station defenses. You will not be able to land. I think this is a wonderful measure because that adds now a long-term persistence to your reputation. That even though I might not have an outstanding warrant for me now, they hate my guts so fucking much, they're going to let me land. They're going to let me buy services or buy fuel or ammo or anything here. If you have to go to Grimhex every single time you want to go and pull a ship out, you're going to think a lot more about fucking around over at Microtech here. If I have to go and fly across the entire system, then go and pad ram that one guy to get my little dopamine hit, I'm going to start thinking a couple more times about that. It won't necessarily stop people from doing it if they're dedicated, but it definitely goes and detracts from them more. And I think that more is needed, but
that makes a lot of sense, right? Because I think there's a place in the game for pirating gameplay.
Oh, absolutely,
and such, right?
Absolutely.
The problem with that is a lot of players confuse for boarding ships, and you're not
you were not going out of your way to make money with your venture.
Your intent isn't to get gain from it, then it's not within
a pirate.
You're just being
insane. You're just being a fucking asshole.
And if you want to be like that, then yeah, but there absolutely needs to be something where you get punished.
It should be that 90% of stations and bases and people in general who see you are either going to run immediately or open fire immediately upon seeing you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that kind of system, and I guarantee you're going to hear the wailing and gnashing of teeth from all those people who wanted to just play as a fucking murder hobo, who are going to go, I should be able to play as a pirate. Sure, but you're not playing as a pirate. You're playing as a murderer. And even if you're a pirate, you know, if you're operating in Ninetales territory and you literally just gun down every single person and a prospect you see, even Ninetales is going to go, hey, you're bad for fucking business because we want to make money. Sure, we'll go and fucking threaten a prospect or pilot and go, hey, you better pay us $5,000 here for your tax for using our system here. Yeah, but we're going to let them live and we're going to let them make some money because if they don't make money, they can't pay us any money because they don't have the money that we want.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, if you want to be a murder hobo, you're well within your rights, but there needs to be consequences in game that are equal or worse to the actions you're committing. I think worse because it's a crime, right? In game.
No, absolutely. So. And being a criminal, and again, the idea of being a STAR citizen is a universe. And inherently in any sane universe here, and
any reasonable person sees somebody who literally just goes and kills thousands of people, they're going to either shoot them or run as fast as they can.
Absolutely. Like if you just run around killing people, pretty much no one except other psychos are going to welcome you as a friend, and even then, they're going to have one hand on their gun the whole damn time.
Yeah.
So it's like there's one thing to be, I'm a pirate, I'm a bounty hunter that goes after, good guys. I'm just in it for the money. I'm a slave. Or all these things are making money. You might be giving up your morals for making this money.
So you're still
like you're
money,
taking somebody's ship over. You're taking their stuff.
Instead of
the
taking
incentive
over my
is
ship,
profits. It's not just being like an insane person.
Yeah. You see too many people who want to try to argue that they're playing as an insane person. I'm just a poor, misunderstood pirate. No, you aren't. And the funniest thing too is when people go and call out those kinds of people, and they're like, well, I don't see why people are getting mad. You're ruining people's gameplay on purpose. You aren't playing as a pirate would, and even if you were,
see, here's the thing
for actual
too,
pirates, no one's going to welcome you. Like, no one's going to go, hey, it's the pirates. No, people are going to go, hey, fuck you, asshole.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think, here's the thing. I think I've been playing the game for a long, long time. And I think if you were to genuinely, like, take over somebody's ship, like, knock them out, incapacitate them, whatever, and then try to steal their storage, they wouldn't care as much. Because you're not just going and ramming. Like they would care, like it would, but it wouldn't be like, oh, this guy literally just rammed his ship into me.
It'd be gameplay as opposed to just being pissed. Because as it is right now, you go and pad ram someone, you go and start fucking with people during like the Xenothreat event.
Yeah, that's actually
you go and just start shooting people or like people who are like, hey, hey, prospector, you better pay me $5 million or else I'm gonna kill you. Like, this in no way matches what they're doing with what you're trying to do here. You're just trying to find an excuse. Come on.
No, because here's the thing: a pirate. If you're playing as a pirate, right? That would mean, okay, I'm in it for the money. Yeah, morals be damned. I just want a paycheck, and I'm gonna do it by any means that I can. Okay, I come across a caterpillar, right? And I'm like, okay, we're gonna board this caterpillar, and we're telling the caterpillar, like, hold the position. We have guns on you. We're boarding you. We're gonna take your stuff.
Yeah, or even just, hey, you better transfer X amount of money. And let's even say we're better like pirates.
To go force guns blazing, and it's like, okay, or the caterpillar guy can then go, how about I just pay you?
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, or even if one or the other side is crafty.
There's an exchange of dialogue between the players. One being the pirate, one being just the regular, truck, space truck simulator guy, and there may not even be an exchange of fire. It's just
I was gonna say I don't even think it has to be an exchange of words. Literally any exchange, other than just immediately dying to some guy.
But that's my point.
It's not like he's got a crime staff.
It leads into different paths of what can happen, similar to an actual RPG.
Exactly. Or even things if let's say if the caterpillar pilot's crafty, he'll be like, hey, you know what? You better you better give us some 10% of your cargo as a tax for going through our system, kind of shit. Like, hey, tell you what, I'm on a fucking deadline here. I'll pay you guys 20,000 if and only if you then go and escort me to as close to my destination as you can get without being fired on by station defenses here. And I'll give you half now and half when we get there. Hey, this is looking like a better deal for all sides each moment.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like I don't think if anybody was if the people were out there like actually pirating,
like role playing as a pirate.
Well, you don't even have to role play, but like you actually have to act as an actual pirate, not just some insane person.
And people aren't.
I don't think anybody would have a singular problem with it. Like maybe like you said, in gameplay wise, it would be like, oh, I just got killed by this AI or whatever. I just got arrested, right? It's like you're going to be annoyed by it, but you're not going to be like,
oh,
wow, that just felt super unfun and ruined my day. I don't want to play the game right now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like 90% of stuff that at least that I've seen that people want to put under the header of pirate is just people being murder hobos or ganking people and wanting people to applaud them for it. And it's like, no, get
I think
fucked.
most of the
You
time
know,
these are
you're
the
being
same
an asshole.
assholes, or like someone.
Yeah, get
fight
punished
me.
in game for it then.
Like literally in the global chat, a lot of these people are like, someone fight me, I'm bored. Because these are just these guys that want to do PvP, and I love going.
You know what?
Just play freaking Arena Commander, and they're like, and then they start going on tirades on how Arena Commander sucks and this and that, and I'm like, then do something else because you're annoying me.
Well, I don't know, and like I can kind of understand that, right? Like if you say to somebody, oh, I want to PvP, if they come and they PvP, sure. But like most of the people I think people are complaining about are just like, you're doing Xeno threat and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, you just got killed by like 10 missiles. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, or just some guy just comes rolling in with a fucking cutlass or a fucking constellation or something. It's like blam blam blam, yeah, Xeno threat, blam blam blam, and you're like, dude, you just blew up my Aurora, and for what? Come on.
Exactly. Well, and that's why I think it's like, it's definitely interesting too when you were talking about the statistics earlier, how the Avenger Titan was the most killed ship.
I've seen
that's
players destroy Buddy in Avenger a lot in that one time that we actually did the mission successfully. This time around, this like recent Xenothreat 3.0. And yeah, it's essentially we had some player was tagging us. I'm like, okay, I had the guy who was doing combat support for us. I just told him prioritize the player. He's driving us nuts.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we had a coordinated team where I had a guy on combat support. I had a crew helping me ferry boxes in and out of the wrecks. So like we were covered there. But if I was just alone and there was just that player just constantly tagging my ship, that would suck, because I'd be stranded on the ship, on the wreck, if I was even in the wreck at the time of blowing up. Or
one issue too that I have,
either way, it's not that fun.
Often one of the things often thrown about by a lot of times by the people who are going around ganking others and being murder hobos is, well, you should have had an escort. Gameplay right now does not support hiring, and like if you just have people who are willing to work for free, if you can get a team together, sure, great. But
yeah, like
gameplay
your buddies,
systems as they are right now do not support it. If I'm let's say if I'm working in a mall, the amount of money I can get, even if I'm just hunting Quantanium, is still not really going to cover very well actually hiring, because I'm going to need at least 1 to 3 others on the mole. So let's just say one person there, and at least one person flying escort, right? That's my escort there to go and harass anyone looking to harass me. So I have to be paying for at least 2 other people and myself. And bearing in mind that, at least with mining, I have to mine, so that's very time intensive. Okay, we've got the ore, we fly it back, we get it into the refinery. That's going to take about a day there, especially if you've got a mole's worth of ore here. That's going to take at least a day to refine. Then I have to go and pack it in to a cargo ship, and you got to hire that escort again, right? Right now, okay, you probably really don't, at least right now, but eventually, hey, yeah, you got a cargo ship full refined ores and all that shit. That's a huge target. Okay, now I gotta hire another escort here and fly over to wherever I'm gonna sell it at. Okay, now I've made the money. Now I can go and pay off everyone here, because up until now they've been all working for free. I mean, the gameplay is not there, and the mechanics are not there right now. But you should have.
Also, there's 2 problems. One is that like the payout is not there, right? Like you cannot feasibly make a profit and pay an entire crew at the same time. And there's also the whole why do I have to do everything with the crew? This game should be able to be played solo.
Yes.
Now, granted, you should be able to do everything solo, but I mean, you should be.
I do agree with larger ships need crews, or at least you would need some kind of automation systems that are not going to be as good as a actual crew here. That I'm fully okay with. However, just from that, larger ships will need crews. I'm fully on board with that. However, I don't like the idea that, oh, well, actual gameplay mechanics will require necessarily, and it depends on what the mechanic is, but some game mechanics are going to require other players. Like, I should be able to engage in pretty much any kind of gameplay solo, whether it's, if I want to do an escort mission, NPCs should go and, like, right now we've already got, waypoints. You can obviously have some kind of random number generator. If X numbers show up, spawn a couple enemies. If Y numbers show up, don't spawn any enemies. If Z numbers show up, spawn a lot of enemies.
I mean,
okay,
remember that
old,
the Tessa Bannister missions, right? The ICC missions. Remember how
when
you
exactly,
go to the location,
exactly.
Oh, if there's one player, it only spawned 2 enemies. If there's 10 players, it spawned 20 enemies because it was. 2
it's like we've
player.
got this kind of code already. So it's like you take that, you throw it onto a couple waypoints here, and you have an NPC ship taking, flying along those waypoints. Boom, there you go. You got some fucking easy peasy missions there. If you want an excuse for it, go and throw a couple, throw like a couple habs or something on random asteroids in the yellow asteroid belt. Say they're emergency stations for pilots in distress, and that the ship that you're escorting is resupplying them or some shit. Boom, there you go. You got your whole scenario. Why you're there, why they're there, why enemies might be there, because Grimhex is right nearby, and you got all kinds of nasties there. There you go. Like come on, you can't tell me this couldn't be whipped up here in like a couple of weeks by some of their content teams and thrown in. So relying on tech we've already got. We're just kind of putting it together here. Like and they've talked about wanting escort missions and that kind of shit. Just and maybe it's just yet another thing that they're going to just build off of content, so they're waiting for it. But it always seems like the content's waiting for yet another Jesus tech that's gonna go and slide into place and fix everything. And it's like, come on, guys.
And I think that's when
I'm in it for the long haul, but like shit.
No, and I think that's when like the lack of communication plays in, where it's like, hey, we need more. We need you guys to be more vocal about what you're doing and what needs, essentially like what the goal is, what you're currently doing, and the in between.
Yeah, well, for example, it'd be really great to be able to see on the roadmap, the progress tracker, things like here is Quanta as both, and there should be like version 1, version 2, version whatever, and being like, hey, here is Quanta as we envision it, fully completed. Here's what it's going to need in a nebulous form, and there's going to be stuff you don't know that you even need yet. Stuff's going to branch out and be like, oh, there was this one item, we're going to split it up into 2 because that's going to make it easier to track and develop. Sure. And then here's Quanta version 1, and here's what it needs, and then you can see, okay, it needs this deliverable and this deliverable. Oh, I can see those. Something like that would be a hell of a lot better to go and kind of explain, because as it is, we've got several dozens and dozens of deliverables in the progress tracker, but what do they mean? Like we'll see, like, oh, hey, the janitor, like everyone remembers the janitor tech, like mop and bucket, I think it was something like that. Okay, obviously that was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek item, but it's like, okay, but what is this build into? What's the next step? And we really don't see any of that. We don't see any of the construction of where this all gets pulled together. We're just seeing these random little boxes that have labels on them.
We don't see how they interconnect with each other and how they form the actual game. Yeah, we don't see the pathing, right?
Yeah. Okay, rant's over.
It was a good rant. That's I think the problem. Again, that's when we say the lack of communication. They are communicating. It's just we need more communication about specifics like what we just said. Where we need to know, okay, how does this mechanic go into that mechanic, and how does quanta play in? How specifically does quanta play into all these different? Like we need to visually see it on the roadmap, so that this way people who are not so smart like us can see what we're looking at.
Exactly. I need to see. I need to know. Tell me.
And that doesn't have to and that's not, yeah, I see, that's just like a roadmap thing, like how they can probably just get one of the guys at Turbulent to do that because they do the website. At that point, that's just like, hey, give him literally just give him a drawn out visual for what the progress tracker looks like in terms of how each thing goes, and just
isn't Turbulent now having their own studio that's supposed to be
they
developing
do the planets.
The planets, yeah.
Also, since we didn't do an episode last week they talked about they had a what was it? Inside Star Citizen was one of the origin stories for a CAG dev. I didn't. I kind of skipped ahead to the sprint report though.
How could you?
What?
I say? Kill.
Yeah, I mean, again, Star Citizen is making progress. It's just really slow the last 2 years, especially. Save for last year when we got 315 and all the Death of the Spaceman and semi-physicalized inventory and medical gameplay. That was huge.
Oh yeah.
But and Crusader as well was huge, literally. But aside from those two things, content-wise, I personally don't count locations as gameplay content because it's a location. Yeah, it can have gameplay there.
A location without content is just eye candy.
Yeah, and hell, even the roadmap has gameplay and locations listed separately. So I'm doing it by the roadmap, and all we got was really that location and what's face and the medical gameplay. And again, huge update, but so far, we haven't really had anything okay, we got some new missions with
nothing really ties into it.
What?
Nothing really ties into it or uses it.
No, nothing really ties into it, and again, they need to balance it out because we're still using the tier 0 version, and it's very rough. It's very punchy.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, how many people? And I would love to see the statistics, especially if it was a week by week or even a month by month. Month by month would probably be fine for just pointing out how many people are actually going and using the medical system, i.e., they're being downed and they're being recovered. And what are the numbers too? So how many people are being down, being recovered to the point where they're ambulatory? So not even taken to a hospital, but just they were downed, they were brought back up by a player with a medical gun or a med pen or whatever else. And I want to compare those numbers. So people downed and revived and people dying currently. So people who just, you're dead. And compare those numbers to how many people were dying before the medical system came into play here. And to see, before approximately, by player numbers and stuff, how high were the deaths before? How high are the deaths now? And for the people who are being incapacitated now instead of dying, how many are actually being revived and how many are just saying, fuck this shit? No one's going to come, even if they do, they're probably just going to go and rob me blind and leave me to fucking die anyway. Because there's no way of vetting, if you just send an emergency beacon, only one person can accept it. You don't have any communication with that person besides potentially, cheesing the system as it is by going and hitting F4 to get the third person camera, using the in-game chat to go and communicate with the person, you hope. or trying to go, letting the entire server of 50 people know, hey, I'm down to blah place, can someone pick me up? And then just hoping whoever comes to get you is actually going to help you and not just rocket blind and leave you to die.
I think what they'll have to do is some type of like how they have the bounty hunter where you get raided.
Oh yeah, they have.
And then like you get a mission if you have like a certain rating. So like if you do anything to hurt an incapacitated or steal off an incapacitated player,
oh yeah, that
you just can't get those missions. You can't get their quests.
And you would have to do a whole lot of reputation grinding or something that would not just be an easy click to be able to get those again, because it's like
especially when you're talking about a player's entire inventory, right?
Oh, exactly. And it's like I could see too, it's like, let's say if a player now there does need to be some boundary, because it's like, let's say for example, if I'm a bounty hunter and I go and I mow someone down, let's say the person's on foot and I mow them down with a ship weapon and they go incapacitated and then a second later they die from my next shot. Well, I just killed an incapacitated player. That shouldn't mean that I don't get medic missions now. So there would be some nuance needed there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's they need nuance for just the criminal rating system.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. And that's been severely lacking ever since it was put in place. Like, holy shit, come on.
Sometimes it gets better, sometimes it gets worse, most times it gets worse.
Like at this point we need teams just focused on one piece of tech to go and put some content into it and context into it.
And I will say to their in their defense, in CIG's defense there, like what other game has a criminal rating system, a multiplayer game like this, a criminal rating system that would work in this sort of instance, in a Star Citizen type scale?
I've never played it, so I don't know if this is even like accurate or not. But one game that I could think of, like that I would guess, probably Eve, right? I'd imagine they have a decent one, because from my understanding, there's like a lot to do with like the laws and stuff in certain areas.
I guess I think that like you can say you're walking around a city, and obviously I think it's a little easier to do something like that because you can base it on real life where you're walking around a city, you just punch a guy, assault. If you, let's say you're on Daymar and you found another guy in Daymar, and all of a sudden you're attacked by NPCs, right? Like just some rogue NPCs over there. They're just they attack you because hey look fresh meat, and you shoot them. But your buddy that new buddy you just made accidentally gets killed, or at least gets shot in the crossfire. Now you have a crime stat, like because you're not buddies with him, right? You're not friends. You're not in the party. You just met this guy. But you didn't mean to shoot him, but now you have a crime stat. Like, and yeah, they do have the press charges or not, but it doesn't always work. And most of the time, like by the time you respawn. And especially if you're incapacitated, you're not going to see that.
Yeah.
If you're incapacitated, your screen just goes black. You are not going to see that press charges or not. So
one thing that would be nice, and I don't know how feasible it would be, because one thing, at least way back when, one thing CIG had said was that they wanted it, and again, this was probably like 4 years ago, something like. They were like, oh yeah, if you're on a planet, you're just like exploring, and some guy's sitting there on a hilltop with a sniper rifle, and he just headshots you with an anti-material rifle. You're dead. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't really know what happened. You're just gone. I don't know if that's still really what they're going for, but one thing that might be nice, at least in like lawful zones, would be that, hey, because right now it's like if I'm let's say if I'm out and about, I'm on Daymar, and some guy just walks up and bam, kills me. It gets me one shot with that sniper rifle. I'll get a little pop-up saying like, do you want to press charges? Automatically, it should press charges unless they're in my party, in which case automatically it will forgive, unless I prompt otherwise. But it would be nice if in legal areas, if when something like that happens, whether it's someone destroyed my ship, attacked me, killed me, robbed me, anything that would be going and doing things that would be involving criminal charges, penalty fees, that kind of shit. I, as the predetermined aggrieved person, would get in my Moby Glass a police report. And this police report says, hey, on such and such date at such and such time, such and such person did such and such thing. What do you want to do about it? Do you want to press charges? Do you want to forgive them? Do you want to, maybe you would have options like, I could push for them to have jail time, but I'll instead push for a reputation hit or a fee they have to pay, whatever the case might be.
You have choices,
and then that would then get submitted.
Their law level.
Yeah, something like that. And again, this would only be happening in lawful areas. Like if you're in the middle of Pyro, no one's going to be filling out a fucking police report there. But something along those lines, just because as it is, it kind of sucks that right now you have to do this shit as you're being attacked or as you are being killed or going through whatever it is, and 3 seconds, 6 seconds of misplaced time, or you trying to just fucking survive, now too late. You missed your shot. And I mean, yeah, you do have the automatic press charges, automatic forgiveness if they're either not in your party or are in your party, respectively. But we could go for just a little bit more nuance into this here.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Also, if you're in Pyro,
that is going to require more tracking tech on the back end to be able to track some more of this shit.
If you're in Pyro and you do something wrong, odds are one of the cult members is gonna complain to you, to the sun god.
Yeah. I'm just imagining some guy going to one of the Ninetales guys who are like, hey, some guy just stole from me, and the guy, the Ninetales guy just laughs at him. Yeah.
Also, was it 2 weeks ago? They had the AI stuff. We're just talking about how trying to get the different text. Well, first off, set up the heads, right? The DNA textures on the heads and having the eyes look realistic.
That's sorely needed.
And having and after 3.17, they want to increase hairstyles, add freckles, moles, etc., scars. Hopefully, facial hair sometime in the future.
Look, you're clean shaven, you'll fucking like it.
But I like that. I like that because it's such a small thing, right? Just adding new faces and stuff. But again, this is a game.
Look, if my character
really builds up,
you get to create your own character, and it's a role playing aspect of the game.
Look, if my character doesn't dynamically grow their facial hair and the hair on top of their head, I have to go in and get it cut at the barber tech every 3 weeks here. What's the fucking point?
Wait, I have to ask you a question. Have you ever played Ark?
Yeah, terrible game. Hated it.
Yeah, it was a really fun game, and it was absolutely good. And no, they actually had tech for that, where your hair and your beard would grow. You have to go cut it.
Oh yeah. Honestly, so
it's really feasible.
I would not doubt that CIG might do something like that.
I'm sure they would.
I mean, that in all things considered is a super easy thing to do persistently, compared to inventory and everything like that. Well, yeah, relative to inventory.
Yeah, I remember.
All you really have to do
for characters.
The biggest thing that would have to be done is just here's each hairstyle, and you have to iterate length on growing up to and growing out of this hairstyle at these predetermined lengths at these predetermined times. So you just have to make 17 variations of this one hair of short version, long version.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's doable. It's just a lot of assets needed. Details.
Yeah.
You get nothing.
Well, and the Merchantman, I think, is one of the longest in concepts. So that's it's interesting though. I'm interested to see how they like what it releases like, because I know a lot of people were, and I think Cam, you were one of them, were upset about the size changes to the Carrack, right?
Yeah, mostly because to not to go on too deep of a rant here, but
Yeah, no, sorry.
when they were building up to it, originally, so the Carrack was meant to be and was always stated to be kind of the be all end all large exploration ship. Like this is your, if you want to go explore somewhere and do everything related to exploration, this is what you want. And this was one of the earliest ship design. Actually, it's the earliest exploration ship and one of the first ships that was ever concepted. So it was a very long time coming. As they were working on it, one, we got certain concept art kind of going, hey, this is what we're going for. People were like, hey, yeah, this looks great, this looks wonderful. Like, yeah, it actually turned out, because as they're going and actually blocking this out and going, okay, here's what we need to go in here. Hey, it's gotten a lot larger, it's going to have all these extra features and space and all this kind of stuff. Great. And then they go and actually show, hey, here's what we've got. For it was in preparation of, oh, what was it, like 312, something like that? But no, it might have been earlier, like 37, somewhere around there. But anyway, so they go and show off, here's what we got, and people are like, and like, oh yeah, we had it a lot larger, and then we shrunk it down to fit this one landing pad that a lot of places have, and the next size up, a lot of places don't have. And it's like, okay, but one, it's supposed to have at least one docking collar on it. Two, it's got a rover. It's got an Ursa rover that holds cargo. Three, it's got a shuttle that holds cargo. You don't need it to fit everywhere. Like, that's the point of its other vehicles here, is that they can also do that, and it can go on any station that has a docking collar, which should be every single one of them by and large. And the ones that don't, I can take my shuttle there, or I can drive her over there if it's a ground base. Like, there's no need to go and shrink this. And on top of which, too, like I said, what they presented was a decent ways away from what the original concept art that they were showing us, saying this is what we're going for, was. And people are like, yeah, what the hell is this? And it was like, oh, well, all right. And unfortunately, as seemed to be the case with John Crew, they were like, well, we're pretty much locked into this. We'll do a little bit of pencil erasure here and there and adjust a few lines, but for the most part, what you're seeing is what you get. And it was kind of like, hey, what the fuck? This is not like what the concept art had shown or what you guys were talking about. This is a pretty clear deviation from it, and we got zero communication leading up to this. And I think that was what pissed me off is, again, lack of communication. So it's like,
Remember the
and then on
original
top of which
model
too,
they
you have
showed?
shit like with the Odyssey, to where like you literally have a dev, whether humorous or not, going, "This is a carrot killer," and it's all well and good to have multiple ships in the same size range doing similar jobs. Sure. At the same point, though, it's kind of like, really, this is what you're going for. At least the Carrack, it's felt like to me, both with the community and with CIG, the Carrack's been a bit of a redheaded stepchild that CIG was just like, fine, we'll just throw it out there and move on to bigger and better things. Like, look at the Bandit Merchantman, ooh, shiny, ooh. Look at the Mist Odyssey, ooh, shiny, ooh. It's like, okay. Thanks,
Let's not even talk about the Terrapin. You know how expensive this gear is, son?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it definitely seems like there's certain ships that the devs like, and there's certain ships the devs don't like. And as we see, like the Bandit Merchantman, devs like this. Okay, it's getting everything. We'll just throw everything in the kitchen sink at that. Oh, the Terrapin? Fuck that thing. We're never going to talk about it yet. Like, okay. It definitely feels like they play favorites with certain ships over others. That's just my take on it.
No, definitely the case. I mean, we know they all hated the Redeemer, yet somehow the Redeemer ended up being one of the best ships in terms of combat right now anyways.
Is it? I've heard a lot of Redeemer pilots griping about it, that it's not nearly as maneuverable as it should be. But then again, everyone wants their favorite ship to be the meta. But
I have flown it. It is not maneuverable, but I still seen it like shred everything.
I mean, fair enough. But yeah, we'll see. And then again, too, like with the Carrack, for example, how many other systems is it relying on that aren't out yet? Modularity, and we have no idea what we might get there. That might get people to go about it all over again.
Jump point
it's going to be
scanning,
drone tech.
There's the beacons. There's
repairing all the
drone-related gameplay. Yeah.
The sub-component stuff. Repairing those, because it has its own repair room for that. So there's so many other stuff that could go there, but like I said, it definitely feels like with some ships and vehicles, CIG plays favorites. But
which is unfortunate.
I mean, do I even need to mention, for example, the Car2 wall?
Like the abandoned cousin that you used to hang out with all the time, but then you haven't seen him in 20 years. Like, he was the cool cousin you hung out with, introduced you all this stuff. Then you haven't heard from him since. I remember when that shit first came out, and there's like, oh man, this thing's super cool, super maneuverable. Yeah, it can't really handle a fight, but
yeah,
like it wasn't meant to. It was like it was a scout ship. It was awesome, and then that's really.
Yep.
Last time I used a Car2 wall, it exploded the second I entered it.
It'd be really nice if that kind of shit was fixed.
Well, hopefully, they have this whole thing where they're doing this new gold passing on all the ships, and hopefully it means all the ships. Because they need to get all these older ships to work with the new systems. Which is going to be a constant uphill battle for them. Alright, well, moving on from the Star Citizen stuff, we've got, so, Call of Duty, of all things. They're finally going to be skipping a year. For the first time since 2005.
That sounds actually like not a bad idea.
Yeah. So
Something
2023
tells me that we might see an increase in quality.
Yeah.
It's
Perhaps.
just so they can go and get all the details right for their new Call of Duty Ukraine game.
Well, so because they're on a 3-year rotation, right? With
I think
I
it became
thought
a
it was a 2-year
2-year.
rotation.
it's with
I think it became a
Sledgehammer, Activision, and
Infinity Ward. No,
Infinity Ward,
it was Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and
Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Activision now.
Yeah.
And then Sledgehammer. And so obviously they get 3 years, but taking it, I don't know.
It's still taking like a year or two.
Yeah, it's still taking a year exactly
for each game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so pretty much Activision Blizzard Incorporated will delay a Call of Duty game that had been planned for next year for 2023. The first time the franchise will be without an annual mainline release in 2 decades. According to the people familiar with the plan, the company is pushing off the release after a recent entry, that being Vanguard, Call of Duty Vanguard series failed to meet expectations, leading to some executives to believe that they're introducing new versions too rapidly, said the people, who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to discuss the deliberations. Can't blame them given retaliation occurrences at Activision Blizzard when really employees do anything that the uppers don't like. Goes into the whole Activision Blizzard scandal going on with the Department of Fair Employment and Housing lawsuit that was filed in July of last year with all the sexual harassment bullshit. Well, not bullshit, but whatever, you know what I mean. It's all bad.
The bullshit on their part.
Yes, the Activision Blizzard, other scumbags and slimeballs. The decision was not related to Activision Blizzard's agreement to sell itself to Microsoft Incorporated for $68.7 billion.
You have to make them sound like a slut? Because they are.
Activision Blizzard. By the way, Bobby Kotick, when he's going to have a $15 million severance package when the deal goes through.
You know what the fuck?
And he almost had his assistant killed.
You know, it's kind of sad that the people who like, let's be honest, are I wasn't in the company and I wasn't there. Wasn't part of the investigation, so I can't say that. But a part of the root cause for it, right?
We've read the reports
obviously at the top,
investigations.
Right?
We
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of sad that he's getting out.
Yes. Here's the
they get out pretty much scot-free.
Yeah, he's coming out not even scot-free. He's coming out on top.
Literal millions of dollars. He's getting paid to walk away from this without any repercussions.
Pretty much. You know, we'll see if the lawsuits go anywhere and hit him with it, but
yeah,
hopefully. I
know the Wall Street Journal's been covering him specifically, so they're the ones that reported on him trying to get his killed or something. Activision Blizzard is working on other projects to fill the gap next year. Call of Duty games set to come out this fall will receive a steady stream of additional content, and there will be a new free-to-play online title next year, said the people. Treyarch, the Activision-owned studio working on the now-delayed game, will also help with the free-to-play title, saying, "We have an exciting slate of premium and free-to-play Call of Duty experiences this year, next year and beyond. We look forward to sharing more details when the time is right. The delay will be a massive effect on the video game industry. Every fall since 2005, Activision has put out a new premium entry in the lucrative shooting series. Call of Duty games regularly top yearly sales charts and have sold more than 400 million units since the series began in 2003. Last year's entry, Call of Duty Vanguard, failed to meet Activision's sales expectations, leading to executives to suspect that it had been cannibalized by the previous year's game. A free-to-play version released in 2020, Call of Duty Warzone, remains a massive success and may have drawn players away from the premium entry. Activision remains autonomous, and Microsoft could decide to change these plans after the acquisition, if the acquisition actually goes through. It still has to be approved, which is expected to be finalized by the summer of 2023, pending approval from regulators. Okay, so The shares declined as much as 1.4% in extended trading Tuesday and Friday news. So yeah, I guess hopefully this is a good thing, but this could easily just be a look. Yeah, the game might definitely get a quality increase for this, like just more time being put into it. It will, but at the same time, I feel like this could also be used in a negative way, monetization or what have you.
Well, I mean, as we have seen so often with games coming out, even when extra time is allotted, like a company goes and delays a game. Look at Cyberpunk, for example.
Or
There
just
is zero guarantee that we're
yeah.
guys are going to get any kind of a decent product. Like, until it's in our hands, assume it's going to be shit.
And then remember, and just to use two very recent examples that are both competitors to Call of Duty and FPS games, Halo Infinite and Battlefield 2042, both of which were delayed. Battlefield 2042, granted, was only delayed a month. Halo Infinite a year. Both still releasing in a piss poor state. Battlefield 2042 was definitely worse, but that's not saying much because Halo Infinite was still in a really crappy state to be on its own. Just Battlefield 2042 was just that much worse. Point being is that they both had delays. It didn't do them any good.
Mostly
Cyberpunk as
because even though, and it's like, and that's not to say that delays are bad for a game, especially when needed, but that
no, just what do you do at that time matters.
well exactly, and it's like we've seen again so often here of game, I don't want to say game developers, but game publishers more often going and screwing around, wasting time they're given for delays, and pretty much just demanding unrealistic things, and then wondering, like sitting there scratching their heads, wondering why did the game tank? Why am I not getting a return on investment here? I fucking wonder. Like, come on.
And Call of Duty Vanguard, just I mean, like, well, there was the trailer, then I heard the game launched, and that's really all I've heard of this game. Like, this is probably the most I've talked about this game since we did that reaction to the trailer. And apparently, it's the worst Call of Duty game since 2007 in terms of UK sales.
Well, it's not surprised. Disappointed, not
Yeah,
surprised. But that seems to be the case of every AAA game developer out there these
exactly.
days.
Not surprised, just disappointed. But yeah, I mean, again, hopefully this is a good thing. But until we see it, right, until we have it in our hands, it's up in the air for if it's good or bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll say one of the few game developers out there that I see actively doing good stuff is Hello Games with No Man's Sky,
Yeah,
because they are still going and putting out additional content updates, free updates, I might add. There's additional content updates to go and keep pushing the game toward what they envision it to be.
and I hope that Cyberpunk goes that route too because they keep dropping some updates here and there.
Yeah, but nothing like
Mm,
big. And it's like the last update was, it's definitely still a step
It
in the
was the
right
biggest we've
direction, but
gotten, I
it's a
think,
step.
in terms of like content and what it adds. Like
Yeah, and it
new, you
wasn't
can
much
now
content.
purchase apartments, right? Different apartments. Some new weapons were snuck in. Some new items like gulps and stuff. At least that I noticed. Some
Yeah.
secrets and Easter eggs. Like there are some unlisted changes that were actually noticeable. Some new dialogue stuff even. But
Okay.
I gotta
let
head
me put
over.
it this
I'll
way:
talk to you guys
step
later.
in the right direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Right. See ya.
It was a step in
Yeah,
the right
it's
direction,
just
but it got a long way to go.
oh yeah. Oh, oh, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, and
And it's like, and I should note too, like I have nothing against for example, looking at like No Man's Sky with the updates they're putting out. I have no problem with paid DLC, but it has to be worth like the price tag on it has to be worth what is being given for it.
yeah,
Like, the trend these days to where you nickel and dime your end user for as much as possible while giving them as little as possible. I fucking hate it and find it disgusting.
we end up with
I
DLC
still
that costs as much as the game.
exactly. I still reminisce over the days of like Oblivion, not Horse Armor, and like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, even Skyrim to some degree, to where 90% of DLC are story-driven, content-driven updates.
Yeah.
Not just here's a reskin of this, here's a reskin of that, give me 20 fucking bucks. Like I want, it's like if I'm paying 20 bucks, especially with a base game being 60 bucks here, it's like if I'm paying 20 bucks, I'm paying a third of the game price here. Like I'm gonna want something comparable to a third of the game. I want, assuming this is some kind of like a
Like I know with the
exploration game, open world, I want new armor, new weapons, new quests, new companions. I want
Right.
more of everything here.
essentially give me a new content that's essentially the smaller version of the game I'm playing with new stuff and everything. Things
Yeah.
that,
It's like I have
if
no
you're gonna charge
problem
for X,
paying.
it better be worth X.
Yeah,
And-
like with, for example, Skyrim, I had no problem paying 20 bucks for the Dawn Guard DLC. I thought that was more than worth that $20 I get. It's like it adds hours of new quests there, new locations, new spells, new armor, new weapons, pretty much more of everything. Yes, happily paying that. But then we see with Bethesda's more recent stuff where it's like, hey, here's the Creation Club, $10 for a single set of armor. What the fuck?
$12 for
like, come on.
color on your power armor, $18 for blue on your power armor.
Yeah, if you go to 76, yeah, it's literally it's 15, 20 bucks for a skin, not even for like, here is a new set of armor that you got. No, it's just a skin. You have to find the armor yourself or the weapon or whatever. It's like, are you goddamn kidding me? Like, come on. It's greedy in the worst of ways. And I feel I can say that without falling into any kind of claims of being, a dirty entitled gamer. How dare I expect so much? I don't think
No,
it's
you
expecting
do still
too much.
because it's not the worst. The worst is, I think, the loot box and NFT. Actually, no, they're all equally bad. They're all.
You want to know one game that had loot boxes, but I actually enjoyed for what it was worth. Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 shipped with a multiplayer, and that multiplayer had loot boxes. You could buy like EA coins or whatever the fuck it was called back then, and buy more loot boxes, and you would also be able to buy them with the in-game or with the money you would earn in the multiplayer just by playing it, and then you would be able to unlock weapons and gear and that kind of shit. But for what it was, I really actually enjoyed the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I felt like I could by and large customize my character for the most part how I wanted to, even though you would only get gear through the loot boxes. Like that was the only way to get gear. But being that it was the only way to get gear, you would generally be able to find something pretty close to what you want. It might not be the exact weapon you want, but something comparable.
So the odds were a bit more fair compared to now.
Like that is one thing that I would actually enjoy, hopefully without loot boxes, but that was one thing I would enjoy seeing return as an update for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, would be the multiplayer.
Well, just the multiplayer in general, not necessarily
Yeah.
the loot boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like honestly, it was really, really fun. Like it reminded me in some of the best ways of Gears of War's Horde mode, not the current version they got, which again, riddled with fucking microtransactions, but the original Horde mode, which I think was introduced with Gears of War 2, I want to say. Yeah, I want to say it was 2.
I don't remember.
And it was fun. It was good shit. You just got like a four. It was very much like a four-player wave-based co-op
Horde mode,
experience to where you're just like it's just you and a bunch of fucking. I would just enjoy playing with randos, and it's just you and a bunch of randos trying to go and just hold out.
Halo, yeah. But essentially, like
exactly.
It's the Halo game. It's the 30-second game loop of Halo, but with your buddies, just endlessly. Like, what's not to love?
Yeah, I miss that kind of content, but who knows if we'll be getting that kind of stuff.
And that's how Left 4 Dead got really.
Honestly, I did not like. I'm a big fan of like co-op stuff, but I did not like Left 4 Dead. Like, I don't know why. I did not like it.
Well, that's gonna be it for now. While I go kill Cam off screen. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You can try.
Hear a knock on your door. But yeah, and also like speaking of all the greed bullshit and NFTs, like all these companies, thankfully, are kind of, you know what? Maybe we're not gonna go with NFTs because of the backlash.
Oh, and honestly, thank fuck you. Like for once.
They're actually listening.
They're trying to say, well, at least for now, we'll see how some of these guys try to sneak them in later.
Yeah,
but
I know
now,
Valve, back in October of 2021, when we covered it at the time, Valve was like, Steam will not allow any blockchain stuff. And then like a week later,
which I am happy.
Epic went, we are allowing blockchain stuff.
Honestly, though.
And now Steam,
I am very
interview,
happy with Valve's decision for that, because also too it'll mean that, oh hey, you want your game on Steam, Steam still being the primary platform here,
and I think Gabe Newell in an interview relatively recently or so was like, no, we're not allowing that stuff because there's no, like, it doesn't add anything.
No, it doesn't. It really does not.
It is. I loved the way my mother described it to me. What an NFT is. Like when he finally found out, he goes, "Oh, so it's pretty much having a marriage certificate, but everyone else like is screwing your wife.
No.
But you have a marriage certificate."
Well, and what's hilarious too is that and a lot of people don't realize this with NFTs. If you buy a NFT, so it's if you were to go out there, you get your crypto wallet, you buy the NFT, woohoo! I am now the owner of an NFT. Bear in mind, what you own is not, and usually in terms of what we're seeing it as is right now, we're seeing it usually in the form of a picture. You own this NFT, and then you see a physical representation of a picture. Bear in mind, you do not own that picture. What do you mean?
You own the rights to it or something.
You own essentially a receipt saying it's not even like a copy of the picture. It's that you own a digital representation of the thing. You don't own the thing. If there's an NFT of X and you buy it, you do not own X. You own it's like you own a receipt saying you have a title to X. You don't own X. You just own a piece of paper, a digital piece of paper that says you have X. Not that you have rights to X, not that you can do anything legally speaking with X, but just that you have a certificate of ownership that is not legally enforceable. That you own X. And you paid however many dozens or hundreds or thousands of dollars for that.
So you know what it is?
And
Remember
that's
those
why,
old,
bear in mind,
you remember
it's
those
very
stars?
the marriage certificate example is a great one, because having that marriage certificate does not mean you have or own the wife. You own the rights to the paper, but the paper itself is worthless. The
You know what it
paper
is?
is
Do you remember-
supposed
do
to
you remember
represent
those,
something else, but you don't get to something else. You don't have any rights
Do you
to
remember those
something else.
stars you can buy? Where, like, oh, you own a star now.
It's pretty much that, and honestly, it's worse than that, because people
Yeah.
are trying to convince you that it has value, when really the only value is you convincing some other sucker to go and pay for this imaginary thing. That's it.
And that's the thing, is that it falls under the same problem that any macro transaction in any video game has. And let's be honest, anything above $1 is macro, not micro. And that is nothing, like, things in a video game do not have real world value. The video game itself does have real world value. Even a crappy video game has real world value. Stuff in a game does not. And therefore should not have real world money attributed to it. That's my philosophy, anyways.
Loot boxes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to know, like, hey, Steam is against it, and that means that games on Steam will not be allowed to have it.
Well, I mean, Steam and Steam has made many mistakes and fucked up
Steam's
plenty of
by no
times,
means
and has done
perfect at all.
plenty of anti-consumer, anti-gamer stuff. But this is one where I'm in full agreement with them, and it's like, yeah, and NFTs offer nothing new to the players, to the community, to Steam or Valve. They offer nothing. It's literally just a new branding for milking a fool from his money. That's it. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think it's digital money laundering. Yeah. But moving on to good news, and Steam related, the Steam Deck. So Gabe Newell's actually been delivering some of these Steam Decks personally, and that video was awesome.
Oh, it's hilarious.
And I gotta say, like, I know we were kind of enthusiastic about it when we were covering the specs of the Steam Deck when they first revealed it. But I'm like, oh, this looks so cool, and it's probably gonna be great. And we even said, like, oh, it's probably perfect for, like, a student or just anyone that's really on the go and loves playing games like us. But I wasn't expecting it to actually be good. I was just hoping, right? Because, like, oh, it's Steam. You know, like, the last time they tried something like this was, like, the Steam machines? And those are horrible. They barely lasted a week. Like, but here, I'm hearing nothing but good things with the Steam Deck. Like, the Steam Deck's apparently amazing. I mean, like, first off, it's great for emulating, apparently, and modding. Like, oh, you want to play, like, for instance, according to the PC Gamer article here, you want to play the GameCube and Wii emulator on Dolphin, or DuckStation, which is the PlayStation 1 emulator, or PCSX2, which is the PlayStation 2 emulator, PPSSPP, the PlayStation PSP emulator. They even have a Nintendo Switch emulator, Yuzu, and obviously the Super Nintendo emulator. Like, but the fact that you can play all these old games on a portable device, like, hey, look, I'm playing my favorite PlayStation 2 game on, via an emulator, so I'm running it on hardware that's more advanced than the PlayStation 2, so I can play the game in a more optimal state, right? Higher frame rate, better resolution, and I can play it on the go.
And that's honestly going to be the big thing, is that you have essentially a gaming PC that is
portable,
handheld, as opposed to a laptop, in which generally, if you want a laptop, you're going to have to be having some additional bag to go and carry or something like that. Whereas with a Steam Deck, like, if you have, like, cargo pants pockets, you could practically go and fit one in there. Or if you have a non-laptop bag, you can throw it in there. Like, you got a gym bag. You can go and chuck the thing in there, and it's
No,
good.
What's great about this, like, oh, I'm on the subway ride, right? It's a long subway. You know, taking the subway
Yeah,
all the way from
there
the
you
Bronx to Queens. It's gonna be like an hour ride. Whip this thing
Okay,
out of your bag
I want to
and
get
just
my
start
modded
gaming.
Skyrim on. Boom, there you go.
Yeah, with mods.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and the fact that you have all the same support as PC in a portable handheld version, like honestly, it's literally the PC equivalent to a handheld, because it is. It
It
quite
is a
literally
handheld
is.
PC, and I gotta say, it's fine. It's nice that, because I was saying this before, and I'm glad that this is true. There's finally a competitor to try to knock Nintendo off of its gaming, like its portable gaming
Yes,
pedestal.
absolutely.
Especially since Nintendo's been really, really sleazy, especially as of late with the get to that. But like the
Legal
whole
department has always been fucking like,
yeah,
I get, air quotes, get them like from a company standpoint, doing the whole like, we have to aggressively protect our copyright, otherwise we lose
but
it.
this isn't that.
Like,
This isn't that at all.
I understand it, but I still don't agree with it.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, is understanding it in like that's it. Yeah, I understand it too. Like, yeah, obviously, yeah, like it's yours. You want to not, you don't want someone willingly using it, and I understand that. But at the same time, there are laws in place between free, fair use and this and that, and obviously sometimes thin lines, right? But the difference between fair use and copyright infringement. But you can't just go around willy nilly saying, "Oh, someone made a video that uses
Someone's
an
named
emulator."
Mario DMCA. Like, no.
Yeah, no, that's not okay. I remember like Ubisoft once talking about like they strike people that playing their game. Right, anytime if you record footage of their game and upload it to YouTube, they own that video. Like, nah. But yeah, here this is apparently the Linux-based the operating system and the open source nature of it apparently makes SteamDeck amazing for emulators and modding apparently. And they just a lot of praise. Oh, you want to do this emulator, that emulator. You want to play all these games that you really just cannot play anymore, right? Because some of these games can only be played on these consoles. There's no digital PC version of them. And others, like, or just they're not sold anywhere, right? Like, well, now you can play them through Steam Deck. Well, I mean, obviously you can play them through emulators on your PC as well, but my point is that now you can, like, oh, here's an old Game Boy game or an old 3DS game, right? Port games that were on portable, or an old PSP game. Now you can play these games still portable, but in just better in every way. Because now you also have a better control scheme with Steam Deck compared to, like, say, the PSP with its single joystick. But also, apparently, there's a bot in the chat, and its name is not.
Kill the bot.
Been removed.
Kill.
But apparently, it's You're holding down this power button on the Steam Deck brings up a small menu that includes a switch to desktop option. This leaves behind the Steam OS interface and plops you down on a classic desktop running on top of an Arch Linux. I started looking up terminal commands to install programs in Arch before finding out I was completely wasting my time. This desktop comes with pre-installed app store, just like Mac OS and Windows, except everything here is free. It's called Discover, and it's conveniently pinned in taskbar, and all the emulators I wanted are there with just installable with a click. And that's great. And once you're back in the Steam Deck's primary interface, you'll find the emulators in your library where they more or less work like any other game. Most importantly, it means that they can take advantage of Steam Deck's biggest perks. Most of the emulators will automatically recognize your gamepad, making input bindings easy or outright unnecessary.
Heck yeah.
The Steam controller configurator provides all the extra customization you need. You can press the power button any time to put the Steam Deck to sleep, and your game will still work when you wake it up, even in an emulator. The Steam menu and quick settings overlay still work, and you can press the Steam button plus R1 to take screenshots of your emulator.
But I barely know her.
That's great. You just have some screenshots of old Mario.
It's me,
I'm Mario.
DMCA takedown, EO.
Oh man, like Metroid Prime, you know, like look at that.
That's a blast from the past.
Now, on Dolphin, I spent most time playing Metroid Prime, which runs stable on 60 frames per second and still has incredible atmosphere 20 years later. I sure wish I could use the right stick to look around, though maybe a year from now I'll be emulating which version of Metroid Prime HD port that adds twin sticks. And that's the thing, you can emulate the Nintendo Switch too. Which brings us to, again, as great as the Switch is, the Steam Deck is, it brings us to the problem, which isn't a problem with the Steam Deck, it's a problem with Nintendo. And Nintendo is, obviously, as the article implies, they're blocking videos showing how to emulate games on Steam Deck.
Which, big surprise there.
Yeah. And though the majority of people still unable to get their hands on Valve's handheld gaming Steam Deck, because, you know, only the first wave got it so far, Steam Decks are out, you know. They delayed the initial rollout, but now the rollout has rolled out. The first wave.
Autobots, roll out.
Autobots. Yeah, they're actually, and as I mentioned, they're actually being delivered by Game Noel. Like, just some of the reactions that people are getting, that, like, oh, hi.
Hello?
Like, can you imagine? Like, it's not like this was planned. Just like you're going up to your door to get, oh, cool, package. Oh,
Like,
hi, Game Noel.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. But apparently, emulation is surprisingly and amazingly easy on it.
Cool.
However, Nintendo's DMCA striking videos that offer tutorials on such on how to emulate Nintendo games and Nintendo Switch titles specifically, which comes right as Nintendo shuts. So right as they're doing this, Nintendo has shut down their Wii U and 3DS shops, so you can no longer buy games for those consoles.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
platforms.
assholes.
So it's like at the same time they're going to ruin your day, they're also going to ruin the day of those that actually use their products.
Exactly. Fuck those guys.
Which again results in the inability for users to purchase and play those older games. And here's the thing with Nintendo is a lot of the games that people are using emulators to play, like old NES games or just Super Nintendo games, or even like GameCube games, like all of these are games that you can no longer play unless you have those consoles and the discs for those consoles. It's not like there's a digital version that you can play on like Nintendo Switch. I mean, some games, yes, like the Switch has a digital version of that game you can play, but only some of the popular ones. And the problem is a lot of people would pay money. Like, hey, Nintendo, if you're selling like, this old, the original Super Smash Bros. Or whatever on Switch, or I'm just listing a random game that I played on GameCube, but like, one of these older games, or on not GameCube, N64, like just anyway, like any of these older games from N64, GameCube, NES, whatever it is, like, hey, you're gonna put all of these games from that console on available to purchase and play on the Switch. People wouldn't be emulating; they'd be purchasing it because that's great. I mean, you'd always still have people emulating, but I mean, people that have a Switch would be playing it on their Switch. However, they don't have that option. The only option to play these games is through emulation, so people are going to emulate it. And Nintendo has no plans of their own for game preservation, right? Because there's no preserving of these games. As I said, the only way to play them is either having the originals, and keep in mind, say you have a functioning GameCube or Wii or whatever old console, N64, what are the chances you're going to find a copy of the game you want for that console and a copy that's actually functioning? Like, it's not a scratch the hell disc or, malfunctioning cartridge. Yeah, Nintendo, again, they don't have any plans for their own game preservation and don't plan to sell older titles at all, despite many fans clamoring for just that. And again, physical copies, limited quantity as well as quality thanks to age deterioration, and you need the consoles to play them. Whereas emulators and ROMs are easily available, free, and allow people to play all these older games on their PC or Steam Deck or even on your Android phone, and play them in better quality than they could before. Right? I mean, better frame rates, better resolution. Take screenshots, record the footage without having to have a capture card and all this stuff.
That'd be pretty cool.
And again, something that people would gladly pay Nintendo for, but they can't, so they go to the emulators. And yeah, I remember using like one of the Game Boy Advance when I had an Android phone. I used Game Boy Advance emulator on it. It was really fun. Like some old Game Boy games, like some of the older Mario games. Like, man, this is fun. I haven't played these in decades. It's like you can actually you can record the footage and this. And that. It's like I couldn't record footage of freaking Super Mario Bros on Game Boy. Not unless I plugged the Game Boy into a computer with a capture card, and even then, it's not exactly going to be good.
Exactly. What could possibly go wrong?
Another thing is emulation is not illegal. So they're just abusing the digital money copyright.
Oh, fuck yeah, they are.
Illegally so. Like here, one of the stories is, while emulation itself isn't illegal, obvious elephant in the room is that of where players using said emulators might be procuring their games. This isn't a major concern for legacy platforms such as PSX, which is the PlayStation 1 emulator, or another PlayStation. But the fact that SteamDecks seems to be capable of Nintendo Switch emulation too is raising red flags for the Japanese console manufacturer and game developer. The handheld console and PC benchmarker YouTuber Fox, selling it, recently uploaded a video detailing his testing of the Yuzu Switch emulator on Steam Deck. While performance wasn't great just yet, Steam Deck could run games such as Super Mario Galaxy perfectly well at a higher frame rate than Nintendo Switch could, making it obvious that the Steam Deck is an incredibly potent emulation device. Nintendo, however, promptly reacted by taking the video down.
Of course.
Nintendo is no stranger to using the DMCA, annoyingly so, to fans and its intellectual properties. At the start of 2021, Nintendo removed hundreds of fan-made games from the internet in a wide-sweeping DMCA campaign. The company even has a dedicated team of legal infringement specialists that seek out fan projects and showcases to give all legally sold Nintendo games a chance to succeed. And the Steam Deck's emulation capability were sure to be contested from the very start. Yet, when you have teams dedicated to essentially destroying fan-made projects, that's how I left the Star Wars franchise. You're gonna punish someone for being a fan. Why be a fan?
Because fuck you, that's why. I
can't create anything in the franchise that I like, right? Like I can't create a fan-made Mario game. Well, fuck you. I'm just gonna walk away, right? Now you lost a customer altogether.
Well, I mean, for example, how many people went and bought Skyrim or Skyrim Special Edition, but Skyrim in one form or another, so they could play the fan-made add-on called Enderal, which is quite literally an entirely new game. It's based off of the same engine tech, but the entire story, all the characters, all the locations, etc., are all completely new, made by the modding team. I guarantee at least a few people did.
Well,
Those
that's
are
the
people
thing, is
who
just
probably
look at
wouldn't have
Skyrim.
bought it otherwise.
Just look at Skyrim in general. How many people keep buying it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. How many times has it been released, and keeps getting released, and keeps getting released, and keeps getting released? Because among other things,
it's because people are like,
buying
hey,
it.
it's a good game. They keep adding stuff and everything to it. I want to support that,
Mhm.
right? At least that's a reason. And as I mentioned, like people, like I know many Nintendo fans were like, hey, I would love to be able to play all these older games on my Switch, but I can't because they don't
Like,
exist.
you literally have people saying, "Let me give you my money in exchange for this," and then they're going,
They're literally telling you, like, hey, I will pay you for this. Like, essentially, it's essentially the equivalent of, I'm going up to you, giving you a job. I will pay you for this job, for this service. You are not providing said service, so I'm going elsewhere.
and then you're getting pissed off when I do.
I just love that.
Nintendo for ya.
Here's the first real competitor to Nintendo in the portable gaming market since PS Vita. Maybe?
Oh yeah.
And it's already crushing the Switch.
Well, I do.
Or
think,
at least on par with it. Like, cause
well, the thing of it is, though, bear in mind, as with any new tech, and especially these days here, there's going to be a bit of a, shall we call it, a honeymoon phase, to where
that's
people
true.
are like,
That
"Oh,
is
it's
true.
great, it's wonderful, can do no wrong." Now let's come back to that in 6 months, a year, 2 years, and seeing, okay, how is this holding up as gaming changes, as things evolve here, as we settle in and see what kind of support it's getting, what kind of issues it has, because there's going to be issues, there's going to be stuff that wasn't known about, or whoops, something got fucked up,
That's
and kind
fair.
of just seeing how that all plays out.
No, you're right.
Then we'll get a bit of a better feel for it, because right now you have a lot of people who, especially where it's like, well, hey, I just
That's true.
spent
Right now we're
500
hearing a
bucks
bunch
on
of
this
yes men
thing.
and who are in love with
Yeah.
it. And I will say this though, like right now, from where I'm seeing in regards to the emulation side of things, it seems to be doing pretty good. No, like, oh no, now my Steam Deck has become a glorified paperweight stuff, right? Like it's functioning and well for now.
I'm just saying we should temper expectations just to make sure
There.
we aren't.
No, and you're right. You're right.
We aren't being too hasty to see it all good, no bad, and then the
We are
shine
dealing with
wears
Steam,
off
so
of it,
that is wise.
Because
But
how many products
I'm
have we
just pointing
seen
out that it's nice
how many
to
people
see.
are saying?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was going to say, like, how many people were saying, like, the launch week of Cyberpunk, how many people were saying, no, it's a good game, it really is, you just have to
And then they realize, oh, it's an
ABC.
RPG without the RPG.
Yeah. Which
Like
are most
even if the
RPGs
game
these days,
functions for
sadly.
you, right? Like you never had any glitches or anything like that. Like it's still missing a lot of gameplay.
Yes.
Like I remember I was telling you the other day, like, hey, Cyberpunk 2020 has sanity as a gameplay mechanic, right? With cyber psychosis, or style is a gameplay mechanic in 2020, where how your character looks, because in the universe of Cyberpunk, and your looks are everything, right?
Speaking, I should note also too, not to divert horribly off topic here real quick, but on the note of RPGs and that kind of thing, and let me actually check one thing here real quick just before I go and give out any bad info. I'm just verifying something. Okay. So Mass Effect. Good. We talked a little bit about Mass Effect 3 earlier, but it's a really this is my personal opinion here. I think it's a really, really great trilogy, so Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. If you can look past the somewhat dated graphics of Mass Effect 1, really fucking wonderful set of RPG games. Great combat, great mechanics, wonderful story, good stuff all around, except for the ending of 3. But among other things, there was a patch to go and fix that. On the PC, at least here, there's mods and shit for it. Recently, and by recent I mean the last year or so, Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out, which was the remastered 1, 2, and 3. So some long time needed bug fixes here, some graphical updates and tweaks here and there, kind of shit. That came out. I want to say it was last year sometime here. Again, 3 great RPGs there, good stuff. Right now on Humble Choice, you can get Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Bear in mind it's through Origin, so those of you who are Steam only, you don't like to hear that, but you can get it through Origin, through Humble Bundle, Humble Choice, for $12. Which
on a related
a
topic, just on Origin, someone was telling me this because a friend of mine who used to be in Russia moved away moved to I think Canada years ago, but he was playing I think Kodar and not Kodar, just the Old Republic, and and he paid the subscription, but when he paid it, it was in rubles at the time. Now the payment already went through, but they canceled his subscription this past month because he was still paying it in rubles, and they canceled it because of what's going on with the war right now. So
that would suck. Now, that being said, pretty sure he might be able to appeal that.
Oh, he totally should be able to.
Literally just being able to go and say, look, I'm
right.
not living in Russia. I'm not affiliated with Russia.
Yeah.
I've given you money. Please give me what I paid for. But so does you can get 3 great games. I mean, honestly, Mass Effect 3 alone would probably be worth $12. That you can get all 3 of them. There's a huge modding community already built up around these things. Lots of mods being ported. Good stuff all around. So honestly, if anyone's ever been on the fence about it, you can't really beat a price like that. $12 for 3 games. I mean, you're literally paying $4 for each game here. That's worth it for Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3. $4? Fuck yeah, that's worth it. In my opinion.
Remember getting I got the Alien Collection on Steam. I was like, AVP 2010, Alien Isolation, all DLC, and Aliens Colonial Marines, all DLC. 3 games, all DLCs for $10. Yeah.
that actually reminded me. So one of the many mistakes BioWare has made, and I won't pretend they haven't, but they somehow managed to fuck up the source code for one of the DLCs for Mass Effect 1, Pinnacle Station.
Oh yeah, for the Legendary Edition.
They were at some point the source code got fucked up, and so it was not included in the Legendary Edition, which is the remastered trilogy here. Modders said, "Hey, fuck that shit."
Oh, they fixed it?
And we're able to, because bear in mind, modding is essentially taking a post-release game and fucking around with it as much as you can to go and add content, get stuff where I can get around the limitations of not having the source code. Modders have managed to recreate, and by recreate I mean essentially just port from literally Mass Effect 1, and bearing in mind Legendary Edition has all the DLCs, so apparently it's fully legal.
That's awesome, yeah.
They managed to go and recreate Pinnacle Station. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, because I just recently got Legendary Edition, because I'm like, hey, $12 for remastered stuff, all kinds of new mods for it. Yeah, fuck it. I can throw $12 around. And I'm just going through mods. What the fuck? Pinnacle Station? What the fuck? Hey, look, there's Pinnacle Station. I'm grabbing that. So, among other things, you can get Pinnacle Station still 4 Legendary Edition as a mod.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention that thing with Origin, just in case, like, hey, look, if you're in Russia,
yeah, so that's something to bear in mind.
This because
and again, it's through Origin, not Steam.
Yeah.
So, I know some people really dislike using Origin, which, hey, fair enough. But
look, everyone has their preferred platform, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just platforms they trust, or at the very least, trust more than others.
The game store. Sorry, cough.
It is
but yes, showing aside
outside.
Showing aside, if all 2 of our listeners, if either of you have been on the fence about getting Mass Effect Legendary Edition,
and it's
bear in mind the date is currently March 7th for all 3 of our viewers in the future watching this.
When does it end? When's the promo end?
I have no idea, honestly. I want to say it's monthly, so well, let's ask handy dandy Google. Okay, so it's monthly. So I don't know when this one would have started. I presume the beginning of March, so I would presume you would have till the end of March. Bear in mind, these are assumptions, and you know what they say about assumptions. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But yeah, on to our regular scheduled programming. Man, you got anything else?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, because it's raining very, very loudly outside.
I don't hear shit.
Okay,
at
good.
Least on my end.
Yeah,
I don't know if on the stream we're hearing anything differently, but at least through my end here, I don't hear shit.
All right. Well, I just want to mention on the topic of mods, the Cyberpunk mods. Definitely recommend this mod called Gang and Faction Traits or something along those lines. Essentially, it makes it where each faction in the game, whether it's a gang, corp, or whatever, has different traits, both hacking wise and just stat wise. So this way, for instance, the animals, you can't grapple animals from behind because they're just giant masses of muscle.
What if I stab them from behind and I grab the knife?
So like it adds stuff like that. So this way, you're not just fighting the same enemy type that looks different. You know.
Wait. You mean these aren't just copy pasted?
Essentially, adding actual RPG mechanics. Yes. Also, with the Steam Deck, back to Steam Deck, it launched with a new Valve game.
Did
a
it?
Portal game, I believe. Not literally, but like set in the Portal universe. Desk Job, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I think I heard about that. So what is this thing?
On Steam Deck?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh, it's you play. You know, it kind of reminds me of like VR Portal experiences, right? Or like the Hands one when they made the Valve Index.
Show me your hands.
Except in this case, you're testing toilets, and then you accidentally make turrets out of toilets. Because it's aperture science, of course. You're making
sounds like
toilets.
a shitty job.
No need to blow off some steam. But yeah.
So what you're saying is we're never getting Portal 3.
Portal 3, Half-Life 3, Team Fortress 3. None of these will ever exist. But hey, we got more Cave Johnson quotes now.
And that was what I needed in life.
Chariots, listen. Must find the moneyverse, Cam.
What?
The moneyverse.
The what?
There's infinite amount of universes, and there's one made of money.
Oh, but it's not useful to you.
Well, you know, if it's follows the quote, if it's pesos, just keep on walking. It has to be US dollar.
Oh yeah, but they're all counterfeit now.
Okay. Well, I think we ran out of topics.
You were thinking again?
There's one topic we have left. The Discord terms of service update.
Oh yeah, where they're screwing us over more?
Yeah. So for anyone who, it's somewhat old news, but I figured I'd mention anyways. For anyone who doesn't know, Discord's new policy on harmful medical advice aimed at anti-vax groups, which by the way is not discriminating. But, you know, it's honestly like and then they're also going to talk about how, you know, they're going to ban you off of Discord for things you do off of Discord, right?
Which is pretty shitty.
Which is what Twitch does too, which we covered when they made that announcement. So there are some changes that actually, at least to me, make sense. Like they're changing the NSFW tag to like an age restriction tag, like just for like instead of saying NSFW, it's going to say 18 and up.
Okay.
Which to me it just makes more sense. But you know, because
the big problem with a lot of this kind of shit is it's all in how it's done. Like you could have the worst rules possible, but if they're enforced well, everything's fine. You can have the best rules possible, and if they're enforced horribly, you're fucked.
Well, and that's we were talking about this a few days ago. Remember, where it's like, well, yeah, they have these rules where you can't talk about the vaccine, right? Because then they'll get you banned. Because the whole point is to get rid of misinformation or what they deem harmful.
Well, and it's exactly who determines? Because among other things,
that means it's super subjective, obviously. But how do they plan to go about it?
Well, not even that, but also too. So Discord moderators are now going to be the gatekeeper, so to speak, of what is and is not medical information and medical disinformation. I somehow doubt that these Discord moderators or whoever they have going over this are going to be trained medical personnel.
No, it'd be like.
So that provides a bit of a problem when you claim to be the source of truth, justice, and all things that are correct in terms of information, and yet the people who are fact checking this, so to speak, presumably, and again, it is an assumption on my part, but presumably are not going to be experts or trained in that field. So my assumption is, and I could be wrong, but I'm waiting to be proven wrong there. I don't see Discord going out and saying, "Hi, such and such nurse, doctor, whoever the heck you are, we want to go and hire you to scroll through chat logs and determine if stuff is good or not." I don't really see that happening. But
so they
don't
actually
worry.
They actually do specify they're not going to be doing this on private servers and direct messages. So our Discord server is safe for now, ish.
Well, and the question would be, where are they going to do it? Is it going to be
also they talk about how they're
Discord?
hiring paid consultants with specific expertise that the platform doesn't have on its own staff.
What that expertise is, we don't know, but they have it.
But who's to say that these specific these consultants have that? It's again, it's still the same problem. Both, like, okay, so that means it's still it's still subjective, right? It's still, being said, it's still infringing on your freedom of speech, and the Freedom of Information Act. And
now that being said, maybe these experts are, exactly what I was just talking about.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
But even so, even if they go, well, you can't say like you can't talk about this thing, even if it's like you're not even talking about the vaccine, or you're talking about something vaguely related, and they say talk about it. That's a good example of good rule or bad rule being employed badly, or good rule being employed badly, right? Versus the other way around.
Look, you just need to stop fighting.
Stop resisting.
For you. Exactly. We've always known what's best for you.
Just let the pillow go over your face. That's it.
Exactly. Now you're getting it.
Don't breathe anymore.
You just gotta stop resisting.
Yeah, and like my problem is again, like, okay, so how do you even enforce this rule, right? Like, because you can't have someone moderating it, because even with AI, like, because the closest we have to something that can, an AI that can work on this scale is what YouTube does, and we've seen how that works. And even then, it won't be able to moderate every conversation in every Discord server and every direct message and like that's not possible.
But why not?
But yeah, they're gonna be Discord's kind of going a bit, crazy. Their rules, and not in a good way.
I mean, are you surprised?
No, just pointing it out.
No, I'm not surprised, just disappointed.
Yep, we should put that on a team. Not surprised, but disappointed.
Probably.
Oh, I think that's it. Oh, wait, nope, Victor's in the chat. Hey, Vic. Saying, hello, modern AI is horrendous. And something on that scale needs a lot of AIs, right?
No, it doesn't. Not if you don't care if it's right or not.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at YouTube.
Bing, bing, bing.
Remind me, how did we get that copyright strike?
Because you were a bad, bad boy.
Don't you mean we?
What's this we stuff, Kimasabi?
Or should I say, don't you mean our comrade?
Something, start playing the Soviet national
Something.
anthem.
Yeah, and China got to take it.
War Crimes International. Wait, what?
Although on the topic, like, it is kind of sad to see how, the war is affecting how people in Russia get access. Just like, oh, now they can't watch this. Now they can't play that.
I don't disagree. I can understand it, but I don't disagree that for the average Russian citizen, they're getting fucked.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on what's going on there, and especially what's going on.
It's bad.
Topic, but it's like, if you're just the average Russian citizen, you're who isn't for.
Well, and as we're seeing, they're protesting.
Yeah,
they're not just accepting this.
Protests in the streets who are getting arrested by the thousands
in droves.
And it's like now, and because you are Russian or you're at least located in Russia, you now can't do this because the powers that be that are beyond your control are doing something stupid and evil.
Oh, and what's also going to suck too is when we see it, assuming, and honestly, whichever way this goes, Ukraine is going to go and get a whole lot of resources from the U.S., from all across Europe, from pretty much across the world. Pretty much except for like China and like one or two other countries. Ukraine has been getting support and will continue to get support here.
Right.
Pretty much no matter what happens. However, and this is making some assumptions here, but Russia, or should we say the Russian people, by and large, are going to be cut off. Any kind of savings they have that were not in other currencies are going to be worthless. Their economy is in shambles. Their military is in shambles. Their leadership is in shambles, because I'm presuming this is going to end with Putin either being dead or imprisoned, or otherwise no longer running the country here. Their entire civilization will be flipped upside down, and by and large, the average Russian person is going to get stigmatized for it. You know, oh, you're Russian? Get the fuck out of here, kind of shit. And
that's,
while it's somewhat understandable, it doesn't make it right.
No, I mean, that's like, you look at obviously Germany,
And that's going
right?
to be affecting them for generations.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Germany, right? It took them how long for people to stop seeing?
Well, also too, bear in mind, you had World War One
and World War II, both started by Germany.
Well, you had World War One. You had heavy sanctions put on them. Yeah, they were essentially, to one degree or another, they were ruined as a country, which really led to World War Two.
Sure.
And again, just hoping we don't see a
World War III. But
well, I'm hoping we don't see any kind of a history repeating itself kind of theme
why?
here.
It's already repeated itself a few times just in the last year alone.
They don't know about the lizard men yet. I mean, what?
Well, that's why you have to get these Ray-Bans and them. They live. Die just like
I live. I die. I live again.
Here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. Light up. Victor in the chat saying, you guys seen how most of the Russian soldiers think that it's actually a military exercise? He's asking.
That's just fucking stupid.
Saying, great thing I live in Alaska. This place is a fortress.
Fortress of Solitude.
Little fortress. But I just wanted to point out how, like, yeah, the Russian people who did not ask for this, who are literally protesting what is going on, they know it's wrong, are being punished just for being Russian as a result.
Yep. And
also
obviously the Russian leadership.
What?
The Russian leadership hold them accountable, punish them, but the average Russian citizen, by and large, did not want this, does not want this, and as we're seeing, there's more and more protests every day.
But I also wanted to point out how also, like, all these, like, Netflix, this, that, they're all canceling Russia, whatever, right? Like, this way, if you're in Russia, you can't watch this. But it's like, yes, and that totally understandable that you don't want to support Russia in any way. But at the same time, it's not, you guys are perfectly fine with China. I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy here in all these companies that are, like, protesting Russia. Like, if you're gonna do one, you gotta do the other. No double standard bullshit.
But China gives us money. Like, yeah, there's consistency with morals, but money.
Victor in the chat saying, not gonna lie, a Russian-Chinese invasion of Alaska would be a slaughter.
Yeah, the polar bears are getting mighty hungry this time of year.
mirror the Fallout universe too much, okay? We're close enough as it is.
Operation Anchorage is a go.
Hopefully we'll have Liberty Prime working by that point.
Oh boy. Hey, what's that you got there, Lieutenant? General, I made a fucking bipedal mech that throws nuclear bombs. What the goddamn fuck?
Democracy is non-negotiable.
Blam blam blam.
I think that's it for this week.
That's what you said last week.
No, I didn't.
Don't you lie to me.
There was no last. Time only started.
You lied to me.
Everything you know is a lie and illusion.
What if the illusion is an illusion?
Victor Wolfgang says, speaking of Fallout, a game set in Alaska would be cool. Yes, it would. Although, I guess, I at least post-war Alaska. Technically, you can say Operation Anchorage was already.
Yeah. See?
Although, rumor has it that Fallout 5 would take place in New York.
Rumor's been saying all kinds of dumb shit.
Yeah, honestly, rumor, take with less than a grain of salt.
Well, bear in mind, too,
0.5 grain of salt.
Bear in mind, too, with Bethesda, right now, they're working on Starfield.
Yes.
That's going to release presumably end of this year. After that, so just barely starting into production is going to be Elder Scrolls 6. After that, presumably, would be another Fallout game. We don't know if this is the case, but presumably that would be the next thing in the rotation here.
Yeah, they have.
We don't know if that's going to be the
Elder
case.
Scrolls 6. So.
Yeah, and so Elder Scrolls 6 alone is probably going to be about, I would say, 5 years in the making. Now it's possible now that Bethesda Game Studios is under Microsoft, maybe they'll have a whole lot of people thrown at them. They'll increase the actual game dev team and have like multiple teams running at once. Maybe, but until we have hard evidence of this, don't assume it.
And
so that would mean
we'll actually get a game and not whatever the hell
Fallout
6 was.
That's the fucking hope. But that would mean that we wouldn't even really get a like rumors of the next Fallout game until like 2026, 2027 ish, because I'm presuming that's going to be around when next Elder Scrolls game would be getting released, and then that'd be when they start seriously looking at, okay, what do we want to do here for Fallout, if Fallout is going to be the next one in the rotation. And
all this Fallout talk reminds me. I read an article recently about the Fallout TV show that Amazon's making.
Oh yeah, that can't possibly go wrong. Until proven otherwise, it's gonna be shit.
Yeah, so the people working on it, obviously, the showrunners and head honchos of the show are the guys that made Westworld. But also apparently some people involved with the Captain Marvel movie. People involved with a bunch of shows that I know nothing about. Like, I don't even remember what the names were.
It could be decent, potentially.
A lot of the
however, assume it's going to be shit.
Bring confidence.
Just assume it's going to be shit until proven otherwise.
Yep. And Victor says America is a large country with many notable locations for a game Fallout 76 to repaint and repaint Fallout 4. Yeah.
Huh? Wait, say that again?
That Fallout 76 is a repaint and remold of Fallout 4.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The Pridwin's still in the game. The only video game based media I'm excited about lately is Sonic 2. Forgot that exists, but yeah. So far it's the only good one that I've heard. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Blame Canada.
In Fallout, isn't New York a crater?
Yes and no. It's been
Or at the very least, Manhattan is just gone.
rumored, and I want to say there might have been a few lines in like earlier games that it's a glowing crater, but we don't necessarily know
Right,
that that's
it could
the
be
case.
like, oh, it's a crater, but then there's still some like remaining.
But I mean,
survivable
at the
areas.
same point, though, one could just as easily argue from a narrative point of view that someone else goes and goes, hey, I'm a explorer, I'm gonna go and find Boston, and they come from the south where the glowing sea
Yeah.
is, and they go, whoa, Boston's a fucking nuclear
Right,
crater.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Okay,
it's only
and they
one of the
turn around and go
boroughs
back.
part of it. Yeah.
Not the case, but so they could very easily do something like that, even if, and I don't know it's the case, but even if there was some narrative in earlier games that said, "Oh, it's a fucking glowing crater."
I remember pre-war, one of the
It would not
nuclear
be
power
hard to-
plants in
Yeah.
New York went down.
So
Didn't it, like,
would
have a
not be
meltdown?
hard to go and counter that in a effective and realistic manner.
What was that?
I said it would not be hard for them to counter that in a realistic and narrative manner.
No, I'm just saying that I think pre-war, when there was a nuclear before the bombs dropped.
Maybe, yeah.
But
Wait, there
anyway.
were bombs?
What?
There were bombs?
Spanish bombs.
Oh no! No one expects
the Spanish bombs.
positioning. Jinx, show me a spaceship.
Victor Wolfgang saying the first Sonic movie was pretty good, weirdly enough. At least they listened to the fans there. Remember that original trailer that had Sonic look like some,
I'm still somewhat torn.
Jerry, what was it?
I'm still somewhat up in the air as to whether the whole thing was a
Done on purpose.
pre-planned
It was like
thing
original Coke
that they
and
kind of
new
whipped
Coke.
out. Like they purposefully made it look bad. Knew people would go and complain about it, and then from there went and was like, aha, here's
Just
the
waits a
new
publicity
thing.
stunt to get its marketing for the film people.
Yeah, well, exactly, because it's like, that
Like
kind
a
of shit
new
has
Coke and
happened
Classic
before.
Coke or Coke
Yeah.
Classic or whatever.
Exactly. So I don't know that's the case. I haven't necessarily seen much information that would suggest that was the case. However, still potentially possible. That's my crazy conspiracy theory of the day, kids.
It just says Fallout is an amazing breeding ground for retcons, just like the comic books, like comics in general.
We're going. We don't need comics.
Don't
Anyway,
need continuity.
didn't we say we were wrapping this up like years ago?
We're gonna wrap this up now. All right, that's it. I guess next week we'll talk about some other stuff. Hopefully the world won't have ended by then.
And if not, it's the end of the world as we know it.
I don't feel fine.